far away.
Good. It's like the colors of the stains. Give you a different look.
I appreciate you noticing.
Yes, and I know it's more than you think. I just don't know what to say. We're in huge trouble.
Is the owl working? It's working, okay. Everybody, welcome. My name is Joe Ray. I'm the mayor of Nyack. Welcome to this meeting of the Village Board of Trustees. It is June 11th, 2026, a little after 7 p.m. Will you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good morning, everybody. We have good morning. The start I wanted. Good evening, everybody. We have a bit of a packed agenda. We have 2 public hearings today, a number of resolutions, some discussions. I usually start off with a couple of remarks. So I'm going to make a couple of remarks, and then the board makes some remarks, and then we're going to get some presentations, and we will, for people that are here for specific issues that we will have them. We'll move the agenda up a little bit to make sure people don't have to sit through the 2 public hearings unless that's what they choose to do. A couple of things I just wanted to congratulate and thank the committee. I know that Deputy Mayor Louise Parker was involved with the African American Day Parade and Festival that we had this past weekend, but she led a large committee. I've never gotten a list of the names of the people on the committee, but I want to thank them all. I thank her on their behalf and them along with them. Do we have any names of anybody?
Yes, yes.
Oh, please, go ahead. Share the names, because I just don't have a list.
So Louise Parker,
Yes.
Minerva Parker, Daniel Gonzalez, myself. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, in there, right.
Yeah, myself, my father, Daniel Gonzalez, Louise and Minerva Parker, Morgan Strand, Jeanette Brooks, and Danelle Green. Oh, and Grant Valentine. Yep.
All right, well, thank you. I'm glad that
Oh, yes, thank you. And Mary White. Oh my gosh, I'm getting so much trouble.
that's why I'm careful about this, because I won't get in trouble. So I just say I don't, but thank you for supplying the names. They did a wonderful job. It was a wonderful event, a wonderful, lovely tradition that we have. Speaking of which, coming up this weekend, we have a big Sunday where we will have both the early in the morning, there's the fire department memorial procession that they have. It's not quite a parade because it's meant to be joyous or celebratory. It's a solemn memorial of the firefighters lost in the previous year or in prior years before that. But they do march through the downtown streets. It's quite a sight. I really recommend people come out to pay their respects. And it ends in a ceremony at the firefighter memorial that's at Oak Hill Cemetery up on 9W. That's also a very nice event to attend to show respect for our volunteer firefighters.
What time does it start?
The parade starts at 9, I believe. So like it's in the newsletter this week. It starts at 9. Usually the ceremony at the cemetery starts at about 9:30. It doesn't take quite a half hour to walk up the hill, but there's some time to assemble after that. But it's a stirring sight, and it's about paying respect to them, and I hope people will attend the event. Later on that day, we have the Pride Parade, which is much more of a celebratory event, which involves an actual parade and then a street fair of sorts that takes place throughout the streets. There'll be music, there'll be lots of family stuff, there will be performances all throughout the village, and it's really always a wonderful weekend when that takes place. Okay, also, we kicked it off today with a soccer match of sorts, a skills drill at the farmers market, the Global Rhythms Festival, which is going to culminate on July 5th, Sunday, July 5th, with a whole day of soccer-related fun here in the village, including watch parties in all the bars. This is being coordinated by Bill Batson at the Chamber, who's done a wonderful job putting it together. It's being funded by the county through funds that they got, and it's all to celebrate a certain football competition that's going on that I'm not allowed to actually name. There's branding issues relating to it. If you're not aware of what I'm talking about, then please come ask me and I'll whisper in your ear. But it's gonna be, from now till then, there's gonna be watch parties. We want you to come tonight and watch the games, in the local bars. Great place. Don't sit home and watch them. You don't have anybody to high five. Come watch them in the bars. Now turning to a matter of some seriousness, I wanted to offer my deepest thanks to our first responders, the Orangetown Police Department, the Nyack Fire Department, the Nyack Community Ambulance Corps, also to first responders, Heverum, and also there was ambulance corps from, I believe, New Square, that were involved this weekend with the young girls that got lost in the Nyack Brook, having gotten into the brook path in Memorial Park when they were at an outing in Memorial Park, and they walked up in and eventually emerged at various points along the way, but a lot of them emerged at Hudson House Restaurant, where they found a grate, and Matt Hudson found them entering his courtyard, basically. So we can sort of, it's kind of comical in retrospect because everyone was fine, everyone was accounted for, nobody was seriously hurt, and for that we're very grateful, and we're grateful to the first responders for the work that they did. I did want to clarify because there's been some confusion and some commentary about what happened on yesterday. Is that I put out 2 posts about it. One of them I literally typed on my phone. It came out an hour after I got the first notification of what was going on. Came out at 2:30. I got the notification about 1:30 from Andy, who called me about it. And that just clarified what happened because I wanted to stop any speculation about that tends to go online. And so I wanted to just say, here's what happened. In the course of that, I did explain that the group that came down from a girls' school up in Ramapo, girls' religious school, did not have a permit to use the park. They're supposed to have a permit. Anybody who wants a group of 10 to use the park, you need a permit. Group of 40, you need a permit approved by this board. They did not have that. The penalty for not getting a permit can be up to $500. We went and looked to see whether we've issued many fines for that. We haven't. Mostly when people violate it, it's a matter of educating them that they need it, and reminding them and making sure they don't do it again. And as far as I know, we've never had a second offender that after learning what they needed to do, didn't do it. We want them to get a permit because we want to know if we don't want 2 groups showing up at the park at the same time, or 3 groups. We also want them to have insurance in case something happens, like a bunch of kids go into the creek and start walking up and might have gotten themselves hurt. So that was the first memo, was to say, just tell the facts and also indicate that they didn't have a permit. Then I made a second post a few hours later where I said that to explain the permitting process, explain that they might have been able to get a permit if they had actually applied for one, given the circumstances, and reminding everybody to get permits. Okay. People have then been saying, well, what about the adult supervision and what would happen there? And I have not commented on that. I'm not going to comment on it now because 2 reasons. One, I do not know what happened. I don't know. It's not relevant to the fact that they didn't have a permit. The supervision that took place when the children were on site is something that is a matter of the school. It's a matter with the people involved. It's a matter with their parents, and it's a matter for the police. It's not something the village is involved with. If there was even the park violation, the park permit violation is something that would be handled by the Orangetown Police Department. So I don't know anything about it, so I'm not going to comment on it. And also, I don't get involved in talking about anything that might be an investigation by the police. That is a long-standing tradition in the village with regard to the OPD. Every mayor follows it. We don't comment on anything that involves what might be an investigation because we might prejudice it or we might interfere with it. I even got permission or authorization. I shouldn't say permission, but I cleared everything I said on at 2:30 on yesterday with the chief to make sure that I wasn't going to be doing anything untoward by actually telling people what had happened. He said that it was fine and that I could talk to the press as well. So that's what's important. I don't interfere with the board. We try not to interfere with the police when they're investigating things. So that's to people that are saying, why aren't you saying anything about this? Why aren't you saying about that? That's why. And I haven't wanted to explain it because I haven't wanted quite honestly, I've been busy and also I haven't wanted to just keep dwelling on this, but I will say this. People shouldn't speculate. That's what they're doing. They're speculating this happened, that happened. They do not know. And the extent to which there have been characterizations that these kids were left on their own because people don't care about them is quite honestly vile anti-Semitism. And I won't even engage with people who talk that way. So that's why I've stayed out of that particular toxic discourse, but I want to explain it now because I don't want people to think that I'm not aware of the situation and I'm not sensitive to the situation. So that's all I'll say on the matter here today. Thank you for indulging me in that. It's nice to speak to people rather than typing things out on my Facebook. And now I will let anybody who wants to, the board members might have commentary on this or any other issue.
I just, point of information, I made this informed, the potential maximum fine for violating the park.
Permit?
Which is $1,000.
Oh, it's $1,000. It says 500 on our park permit, but that might be out of date. We might have raised it since
Yeah, it
then.
was amended, in November 2024.
Okay, so we have to update the park permit, which says 500. We have to remind people that it's 1,000. And those are people who are getting the permit, so they're getting the permit by taking out that form. All right, what else? What do we got? Yeah, Deputy Mayor.
So. One, in terms of the African American Day Parade, on behalf of the committee, we want to thank the DPW for all their great work. Andy, Emery, you guys have been really helpful in helping us organize this, so thank you so much, as always, for all of your help. And everyone save the date for the first Saturday of next June of 2020.
First Saturday in June, okay.
First Saturday.
I'm gonna put it on my calendar right now,
Yes.
so don't forget.
I was having some conversations earlier this week with Tom at the water department. He was actually giving me some updates on some of the work that's happening there. So, I can't explain all of the jargon that he provided with me. I'm still trying to figure out how much of it I understand, but we did replace a couple water pumps and some check valve areas, which should help with, these are what he terms, and I do agree with, as like generational improvements, which should help more with how our water is being distributed and how it's being cleaned and all of these other things. I do want to reassure people the water is still safe to drink. Yes, there are other issues that we have to contend with, but the village and the water department are working hard to address some of those issues so that we have clean water. So I just want to give that quick update. And then in terms of yesterday's incidents, I am really glad that all the girls are safe, and thank you to all the first responders. But I do think as the village, we may want to consider sending a letter to the state education department on asking them to do an investigation, because it is really concerning that there were 70 kids at the park, and from what everyone keeps saying without speculating, we don't know how many people were there to supervise them.
We don't know.
Nyack School District has done plenty of days down at the park where they actually teach all of the students at Nyack what happens down at that storm drain. I'm one of those people who was a beneficiary of that. So I know not to walk too far in because it's very dangerous. So the lack of supervision is really concerning. And I think that in terms of the bus company as well, I think they also need to be held accountable, because bus drivers are mandated reporters. These are people who bring our kids to school every day. They know better than to have some kids without supervision. So Dennis, I'm also asking you if that is something that we can do, to send a letter to the state education department on investigating what happened and why the school was not responsible.
It is our park, we only operate it, and if there's health, safety, and welfare concern, it sounds like there was. You certainly can write a letter to the jurisdictional agency that might address what you just mentioned.
I would.
Law that stops you from sending a letter.
Done. Yeah, so we can, I will be happy to go ahead and do that. I also want to let you know that I've already had conversations with the OPD about getting out a notice to all the schools and all the camps.
Yeah.
In Rockland about just the need to get permits to use the park. Our park is unusual because it's open to everybody, so a lot of the parks they don't use because they're only for residents of that town or something like that. So we will get, we're working on a system to get something out to everybody, including all the private schools, including the camps, because the camps become an issue later this summer with people wanting to use the park as a facility for their camp operations. So we'll make sure that goes out, and we'll make sure we make it a yearly event that we do that to remind people we need to get permits.
Thank you.
So I have a couple of things, on the good news is that, 3 weeks away to the, USA 250 celebrations. Starting on July 2nd and then July 3rd. Everything is in high gear. All the, vendors, everything is in place. And, we're looking for a lot of people in the village and a lot of fun in the village, both on, Thursday, the car cruise, the movie Cars, and on, Friday, the Kids Freedom Zone, and the Swingtown Big Band, and also, of course, ending up in the fireworks. So it'll be a great time, and I appreciate the efforts of a lot of people, which will acknowledge as the time goes on. Regarding the water department, so regarding the water department, I think we might be worthwhile having them come in to give an update, the status presentation, so that we could ask them questions about everything that's happening with the improvement, the issues, the problems, and so forth. Instead of getting it piecemeal. I mean, we just got a letter from them about issues with regard to water quality. And just to be a little bit more specific, because I know it doesn't, not all the areas, there's some specific areas that have issues. Especially the area around the former Maya complex, where there's less demand, there's slow, and so forth. Regarding the incident that happened yesterday, Joe, I appreciate you taking the time on social media to, give a update report. But you see, for me, I look at it as not that it's a religious school or a Hasidic school. There are a bunch of teenagers that were not, apparently were not supervised. And they didn't have a permit, and they didn't go through the process of getting a permit. Is it possible for us to have a meeting about that, or a next agenda item, or maybe executive session? Because I have a whole bunch of ideas, but I don't want to talk about now, about how we could prevent that from happening in the future.
I don't think that's something we could have an executive session on. That's a public discussion.
A public discussion. Correct, unless it's a personnel matter.
But you can circulate ideas privately to us
I'll send you a-
separately, so it's not a group discussion.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be done publicly, it just has to, if we're gonna discuss it, it has to be done publicly.
No, okay, so I'll send you a memo, but just on one point about getting notifications out to the schools and to the camps. You might want to do it in a multi-language. Not only in English, but also in Yiddish.
Understood.
So I think that,
Well, it's gonna go out to all the schools everywhere, so also Spanish and
Well,
also.
it's of course, of course. But again, I don't want to, I said again, the other. And also maybe in the local language newspapers to have a notice.
Okay, that's not a bad idea. Anybody else? All right, let's get to the agenda. I'm gonna just put off public comment for a moment, because I'd like to bring up if Glenn Singella could come up and just make sure you grab the mic. Let's have him. I just want to hear a little bit from him. Do you mind speaking for a few moments? Tell us what you did, because I'd like for you to be able to present it. You'll explain it with far more. I just want to thank you for coming up and just to introduce you as the man who did the amazing work restoring the markers for the Underground Railroad that are in place within Nyack. And there's two of them, there's two of them that you restored for us, and I want to thank you for doing that. But just tell us a little bit of what you did and how you did it, because I think we're curious.
Sure. I currently live in Converse after living in Nyack and Yachts. And there are a couple of stolen markers in the downtown Mammoth area that are in pretty bad shape. And I subscribe to both windows theory, such that if things are left in the state of disrepair, that tends to property. Converse rate and corrected, thank you. Everything else goes with this credit as well. Spirit Commission in the town of Clarkstown is work on site. Since I have supply, it makes sense to put the road. And that has led to 50+ markers in Whatcom County and some in Westchester and Birmingham. Still a piece of my heart in Nyack when I saw the two markers pertaining to the Underground Railroad. So speaking with other residents, based on the information on markers, one was sponsored by the Mitmall family, another by the local IAC agencies. The help in town, you see the village and other residents, I was able to contact those individuals. And they agreed to allow me to refurbish them. And the way this process works is both constituent engages the local highway department or DPW, since they have the right of way and where they will physically remove them. Or at a house. Learning along the way, ways to be better and more efficiently, and then when they're done, they're returned to the DPW, the highway department, who that's the district.
Great, I just pulled them up on the phone, what they look like now, it was posted, by by Henry Tilsey, on the Village of Nyack Facebook page, and this is really 374 likes, which we don't usually get that much engagement on stuff, so that's how impressed people were about how beautiful these pictures were and what a beautiful job you did, so we're very grateful for the work you did.
That's very meaningful, thank you.
Thank you. Well, it's Facebook, but it is like the only way that we could say, I mean, people driving by saying, wow, that looks great. We don't have any way to quantify that. We do have a way to indicate that there was an enormous amount of gratitude from the people of Nyack and the people that follow our page for the work that you did. It is not gone unnoticed. And we do have a certificate for you and a pin. Can we mind if we take a picture and give it to you as part of the little ceremony? Why does everybody come down? We'll stand in front of the.
No, now the shorts are not that.
Yes. Yes, remind everybody it's a summer day. Listen, no one has to apologize for it in here. There's nothing wrong with that.
Thank you so much.
You guys got it.
Thank you.
You guys, who's like,
Because it's hot.
Is that it?
I know, I didn't
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Beautifully done. We really appreciate it. It's just wonderful to get. People to.
I'm like. Yes. That's what I'm voting for.
The work was spectacular.
That was really.
All right, thank you, and I want to make sure we handle the Glenn situation, because I don't, for a presentation of a honorarium, we don't want to, of an honorary certificate, we don't want to make them wait through, too much of the meeting. I will ask again whether, just so I know, if they come, in the meantime, if Stacy Scott, Jonathan Zumba, or Tara Marie Profita are here, just raise your hand if one of those people. Still no, okay, so I'll let them go to the end. I do want to open up for public comment. Now, we do public comment now on any issue that's not on the agenda. If it's on the agenda, you can come up and have public comment while we're talking about it in the agenda. Or if it's on one of the public hearings, while we're doing it as one of the public hearings. Otherwise, if there's something that's not on the agenda, not on the public hearings, and you want to raise it as a separate issue that you want to bring to our attention, this would be the time to enter into public comment. Do we have anybody signed up?
Yes, Joseph?
Please state your name and just the village or town you live in.
Good evening. I've
Good
lived
evening.
since 1960.
Use the mic, please.
It's on, it's on.
Good evening. You can hear me now?
Yes, yeah. It's good to hold the mic right close to your mouth.
My name is Joseph Brady Moon. I've lived here since 1964, shortly before starting kindergarten at St. Anne's School. I wish to thank the village board that in a past iteration protected the zoning around the Pew Avenue up by 9W. At one time, an architect and a developer developed a building. It's the one that has the kink in it. We call it the kinky building. Before that, I referred to it as
they wanted ingress and egress coming out onto Q Avenue. Right, for a commercial use, 26 parking places with the cars, plus overflow. Where if each unit had 2 people, they would have been competing for parking spaces, etc. on Anna Street, Summit Street, and other streets along the spine of Decatur Avenue. And it would have been terrible for the traffic. Commercial zones should be commercial zones, but the residential zones should be inviolate. We are a neighborhood at the margins with all socioeconomic groups. We have traffic rated F by the DOT at the intersection at the top of regular W and 9W. You can't get a lower grade. So you don't want to put more stress on the Q Avenue. And this is why my gratitude for the fast action of the village board is so much, but we mustn't forget the history. Later, there'll be another item, a presentation that I just heard about today that I will speak specifically on. But right now, it's the immense gratitude that we've maintained our quality of life in the Q Avenue neighborhood. I live between Anna and Crosby. Most of the walkers going to the middle school, you can count them in town. Now, for a time, a lot of them are on 9W in that stretch, but on any other street, the Q has the most of our kids walking to the middle school. So I don't want to take too much time. It's a fact meeting, and I want to say thank you.
Thank you, sir. Your name is familiar to me, your last name. Are you related to Brady?
I'm her father,
I would,
and she got a big award.
you got a big award, yes, I was there. Were you there at the event?
Yes,
In Garnerville?
and my wife Peggy and my mom, and I think
She's wonderful. What she does is wonderful. We're actually trying to see if we can put something together with her. You may know about that. But her reading last night was extraordinary. She gave a reading last night at the event that was just wonderful.
thank you very much, Mayor.
Please pass along my best regards to her.
Will do.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for coming on. Next,
Dr. Peck? I'm gonna wait. Okay, you got it.
Sure, presentation sounds like a hearing.
I just want to get through, I just want to get through, I know,
You said,
oh, he's got time
you said you'd like to address that, Mr. Amoud.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mr. Amoud.
I know,
Yeah, Brady, yeah.
So.
what do you want me to do? What are you saying?
Then just a courtesy, that's not a public hearing, so, and it's up to you, you're the mayor, you run the meetings. But generally, when there's a proposal that's being.
We haven't even talked about the proposal yet. Which,
No, it's not a public hearing.
I know, it's not public hearing. We're getting a presentation. He wants to speak about an issue. He can speak about anything he wanted to. He actually spoke about something that we're having a presentation about, but it
Yes, but he.
didn't have to be.
But he plans to come back up and speak on it.
Well, I think she does. She wants to speak about it, but she realize there's 2 public hearing. We're not gonna be, when we do the presentation, we're not taking rebuttals on it. If you'd like to speak now,
Yeah.
as part of the general public
Oh, okay.
speaking, you can, or you can wait till the end of the meeting when we have another open public
I
comment.
misunderstood and I was trying to apply.
No, I'm not, you did fine, it's fine. It's actually not an issue on our agenda today. But you addressed it. If you want to address it as well, Doctor, you can address it now as part of a general public comment. But we're not gonna be doing any kind of public comment during the presentation. So if you want to make it as part of a general commentary that's not part of the agenda, yeah, go ahead and do it. That's what I understood you'd be doing. I didn't even necessarily put it together that you were talking about that, but that's fine. So no, you
No, I
can,
was talking about what you did
previous,
or
yes,
previous, because now it's time to do it again.
I understand. I got that toward the end of the conversation.
Okay.
But the doctor wanted to speak as well? Remember, we have 2 minutes for public comment on any topic.
Sure. So hi, everybody.
Make sure you use the mic, at least speak into it.
Hello, everybody. I'm Becky Brady and Brown, correctly? That's
Put it up more in your mouth.
I don't think.
Everybody, please don't turn off the mic. You don't need to turn off the mic when you're done. Don't drop it and don't turn it off.
Good evening, everybody.
That's better, yes, thank you.
Nice to see you. I'm Peggy Braden, I live at 199 DPU Avenue. I have lived in the village for 35 years, the first 14 on Main Street. DMU one zone. I liked living on Main Street when I was in my 20s, and it was a lot of fun. Then I moved to DePew Avenue to a residential neighborhood. I like my neighborhood, I've lived there for a long time. So I'm here to ask you not to support the proposal that Mr. Shilarski and his colleagues are putting forth to change the zoning for 248 DePew Avenue to make that a DMU to zone. It is now in the two-family residential zone. DePew Avenue is a two-family, 2 and 1 family residential neighborhood. It works really well. It's a nice neighborhood. There's a lot of really good people and a lot of really good energy. And so to add more commercial, more density to that street would not be in keeping with our neighborhood, would not be in keeping with the traffic, with parking and all of that. So I'm just one of many people who just found out about this, is asking you to not support that proposal.
I just want to clarify, there's nothing supporting, not supporting, this is at a very early stage of
Right.
discussion.
It will.
Fine, it's fine.
Thank you so much.
But that's just explaining why there's not been
A
a
lot
formal
of-
grand like announcement of it, that there's nothing on it, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
There's no action being taken tonight on this or on that matter at all.
I think there's some neighbors who want to speak too, but they don't know, so.
Okay, if they'd like to speak, if you, public comments on any topic that's not on the agenda, that's the key. What else do we got?
No.
Hi, can you please come up, 2 minutes.
My first.
You have to speak louder, but
Apologies.
Please give us your name and you live in the village, I assume.
Yes, my name's Sari Blakely. I live on one across the street. I earlier talked to me a little bit about the discussion of rezoning the area I live in. I moved to this area in October of last year, and I have 2 small children. And we chose that area very specifically to quiet, and our children, play outside, they run around, we keep our eyes on them, of course, but we're not afraid of, say, them running up against. Sorry.
No, it's okay, you just fill in the,
We're not afraid of them
it's
having,
fine, just speak.
an accident with traffic, because they're on our street is very quiet. And it does worry me, the idea of rezoning this area to have a commercial area and a commercial zone. The view is already a business street with kind of a bad intersection. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. And I would personally prefer that it stays residential so that I can, can continue to have this divided space that we decided we wanted to, that we chose to enter as a part of zoning person. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else for public comments on non-agenda items? Oh, that's it, nobody else?
You want to wait here?
He's here for something else, which, given that we're now on the topic, let's get Mr. Swarsky. And you can speak to the issue, and then we're gonna move up your agenda items to talk about Mr. Coughlin after that, right after that. All right, we'll move that agenda item on. Hello, Robert.
Hello, Mayor. How are you? Thanks to Mayor Rand and to members of the board for making this presentation on behalf of the owner of
Just make sure you hold it. See how close I get to the mic? And I speak really loud. You have to get back.
of 367 Main, 248 kind of an unusual situation, and you have the rebuttals came before the president.
Yes, that's just a factor of public comment.
Right, so I'll bring this out, what we're talking about here is not necessarily could be characterized as a rezoning. What we have, you can see it here, is a single lot that is in 2 zones. The zoning boundary runs right, well, you can see it there.
It runs through the lot.
It runs through the line. It actually carries this zoning line, which is a series of single family homes. And when this map was drawn, that line just ran through it. There's no house there.
It's a single property, there's no plans to put any house there, it's not its own lot.
So you mean the lot on the other side? The part of the lot that's been that's severed by the line,
Right.
the southern
So
part.
you can see here the orange and here the kind of purple.
Can everybody see the black box, which I guess is that lot that you're talking about? Okay, the black box is the lot, right?
Yes, the
Yes.
black box is the lot. That's both parts.
Does it cross the street or the lot's only on one side of the
The
street?
lot's only on one side of the street, here's the View Avenue. And then here's Main Street. So the lot currently runs through from Main to Depew. It has a driveway that connects Main to Depew. It's been that way for several years. This is the gateway to Nyack.
And the, okay, and every other lot on that block ends at the street line?
Every other lot.
Ends at the street line, and, oh, no, it doesn't, end at the street.
There's
There's
no,
no cuts between
there are
properties.
two lots. This is the only one.
It cuts, the zoning line cuts at the property line, but the property line's very straight running up from Franklin.
It doesn't cut at the property line now. What we're asking is that the zoning boundary be
It
redrawn.
doesn't cut at the property line for your property, it does for the other ones. I'm just saying, the other ones are all uniform.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. That's what I was trying to get at.
Right, so now we change the scale. Okay, here's the current situation. Here's Main Street. Here's the View Avenue. This is the lot in question. So you can see, here's the building. Part of the lot is in the DMU two zone, and part of it is in the TFR zone. What we're requesting, and we understand that this board makes the final ruling, but that planning has to have a look at it and make a recommendation, is that the lot, that the zoning boundary be redrawn so that this property is all to the DMU two zone. That will allow us to clean up a few things. For instance, the property right now needs to have a buffer, a landscape buffer. If it backs up to a residential zone, doesn't really apply here because we have two front yards. It's a kind of an odd anomaly.
Any idea why it was done that way?
Not once in
How long ago was it? Was it
uh,
drawn?
presumably,
The DMU two is not that old, but it replaced, I think, a prior zone. didn't
yeah,
it?
I think it was the DMU zone, and then they broke it into DMU one and DMU two.
And they kept the lines the way they were, which is, the lines when they were originally drawn at some far-flung time in the past,
Right.
maybe like in the twenties or thirties, when the zoning first started to get
Right.
incorporated.
We couldn't find any evidence of this, the part of the lot that is in the TFR zone being a separate lot at any time.
DMU two is, I think after the 2016 comprehensive master plan, wrote the DMU one or DMU into DMU one and two, that's when DMU two came into existence, like 2017.
Yeah, I know, but my point is that what happened was that before this would have been DMU one that was cutting into the middle of the property.
That's,
They didn't change the line, they just changed the designation. They just created a new zone in what had been an old DMU one zone or DMU zone. And then split it up.
that's correct. But
But it wasn't,
this
it wasn't,
line probably.
it wasn't TF, it wasn't TFR zone
Yes,
all this time.
yeah,
So it's not like it took a DMU two and made it the FR zone.
no,
Right?
the line never moved. I'm trying to establish that the line has been there for a long time and we do not know why it was. Why the zoning line was cut through a property,
That's correct.
which is not that usual. I mean, I'm trying to think if there's other situations where we have zoning that is not based on parcel.
My understanding is that there might be one or two other situations, and when I was talking about it, that way.
So this is very unusual.
I like it. Result.
It's in two different zones, the parcel is.
Yeah, 69 Linebacker right here.
Okay, are there any other parcel that you know of? Oh, there's a couple others you're saying, it's a handful. Okay. Okay,
Sure, question, Don?
Yeah, I do have a question. Hi, so what exactly does your client want to do with this property?
At present, we're looking at adding to the existing building to create more housing.
More housing.
Yeah, that's the intent.
We should flip it over so we see the other side of it. That's more, a little bit more. So there's housing on the lot now.
There are 4 apartments at the southern side, side of the building. We're looking to add more housing.
So you don't know how many units would be added if you were to add.
No, would be largely contingent upon parking.
Are you looking to develop the TFL part of the lot?
No,
That's the anything.
nothing. Well, if you develop the TFL part, it would have to be, you'd have to break it into a second.
He's asking the question,
So if it's changed to DMU2,
Yes,
that section, are you looking to develop that section?
we need to develop this section.
are you gonna build anything on that section, is what he's asking?
Is that what you're asking? That's exactly what I'm asking.
No, it would end up being parking up with the way it is now.
It's parking now.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So currently, the tenants that live on that property, do they go out Main Street? They could go out either way, Main Street or D2?
I believe that it's one way from Main to the queue, so they have to.
So they have to go out of D2. There's no way to go back out on Main, which probably is busy anyway.
You could probably go out on Main if you made it right turn only. If you had to cross traffic and make a left turn, I think you'd be asking.
Yeah, it's pretty
for
impossible.
people.
Yeah.
But also, is that driveway from Maine? Is that driveway from Maine wide enough for 2 lanes of traffic?
I believe it is just, right now, there's actually a driveway and then there's parallel parking next to it.
Okay, so they have a phase for the parking there, okay.
Yeah.
For the businesses that are there.
That's a question. If you don't plan on developing that area, what's the whole point of the exercise?
Just to get the lot into one zone. That's what they're requesting.
But if you're not gonna be developing it,
It's for the size of the number of units they can build.
The number of units is based on the square footage, on the acreage of the property. So we wouldn't have to ask for the variance. And it's a strange anomaly. If it were my property, I'd want it all in one zone too.
Yeah, so if they can count that land as part of the parcel that's within the DMU2, they can build, probably not substantially, but they can build some more units, they have more floor area ratio to be able to build, more space.
Correct.
Okay, so it's not necessarily an ingress issue, not like the one that they dealt with about 5 years ago, where there was a new building, and the question was, where would the entrance and exit be? They're already exiting there, but they would create more traffic by virtue of putting more units on the lot.
couldn't you accomplish that by asking the zoning boards for variances? Instead of going through this entire exercise of changing the,
One or the other, I mean, you could ask the zoning board, or we could ask this, but we think since there's one property that is occupies 2 zones, that consensus way for the village to clean up its zoning.
As a matter of zoning hygiene, it makes sense to have properties within one.
Within one zone.
Within one zone, especially for, it's not particularly big property, so maybe, you have a 20-acre property, you can maybe in 2 zones, but. All right, so the issue for you is the ability to build a few more lots, a few more apartments.
2 more units.
A few more units, if you can get the right to include that square footage, otherwise you need a variance to do it. Which you could argue that I should have the variance because the parcel is this big, even though it's in a part of another jurisdiction, another zoning.
That would be one of the arguments too.
And as a variance, yeah, you make that argument, okay. Then in reality, you have this much space, even though it doesn't count toward the zone,
That's correct.
okay.
That is correct. I will also add to the footnote, in the first project earlier, Diana Place.
Yes, that was the one that, yeah, you were on that. and that-
We were on that, and we actually designed it to exit onto the cube at the request of the village administration that was then in place.
Okay,
The owners had not thought of that, did not present that to us. But it was brought, since.
and then it got shot down and you had to change it up,
Oh, yeah.
okay, all right. Well, that was a different course, so we don't carry grudges here, sir, we move forward. Always forward, always forward. Is there anything else you want to show us on this? Is there more pages?
No,
Okay, so that's basically the idea,
that's
okay.
basically the idea. What we're going to do is go to the planning board, get the recommendations, and come back to this board, go on it. So
Okay, so you want to introduce it to us now?
that's correct.
And we won't really know what the extra load would be for the road until we see what the actual plan is, what you can get out of the units, how many units you can get.
Correct,
Okay.
but, yeah, that.
For the issue that they were describing before, which is gonna come up again, is what's the added traffic burden for the area versus what it is now? Based on what the plan you come up with is. When you do, are you gonna be knocking this building down, or are you gonna be adding to the building? Is it adaptive, or is it,
At this point, we're only looking at adding to the building.
okay, so you keep the commercial businesses there?
Very preliminary stage, we are planning on keeping the businesses, that's the only intent at this point,
Okay,
but I can't promise.
do we have a sense, it might be helpful to know how many cars go through that? Because the businesses, right now, all those businesses do exit onto Depew, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Because they can't go, it's one way coming in.
Right now, at least one of those businesses, this is empty storefront.
Okay,
What's?
it's empty.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of traffic there.
Okay,
I've been spending a lot of time up there working on public traffic from that facility. There's just not a lot of traffic. They run us, they ride it, it goes through.
If you add parkings.
yeah, there'll be more traffic, yeah.
Yeah.
But my point was to say, is there still gonna be a business? Is there still gonna be a business there? Because the business adds appreciably more traffic than any of the units are at.
No, that is true with the DMU two zone, businesses aren't required, so that's something that we're also looking at.
Oh, I see, you're not, under the DMU two rules, you can put,
All those,
yeah,
you don't have.
you don't need to have a ground floor business, where you, the only one you have to, okay.
Right.
All right, fair.
So what we're talking about is not a commercial use, we're talking about the residential.
The addition to residential use, and then you're saying the entire thing might be residential theoretically.
We're not planning, let me put it this way, we're not adding any commercial, if anything, commercial will go away.
Will go away, okay,
That's.
okay.
Families, they work.
All right, anything else you want to add?
No, that's it.
Thank you for your time, I appreciate it. Thank you both for your time, all three of you, sorry. There were three of you that contributed, gave us some understanding of the issues here. This was helpful. All right, so, we'll see you after you go to the planning board.
Oh, do you want to take a look?
Bob Henry, I asked Andy to send along, but it's way too early to send this to the planning board.
I'm not sending anything to anyone. He said he was going to the planning board, I'm saying go.
Our understanding is that,
No, I've been communicating to those here in Village Hall, and I asked them, one of those communications we shared with you, and I think it was yesterday. And then you're proposing is a zoning amendment, right, so that's an amendment for zoning code, it would be a proposed local law. And it's gotta go through all kinds of steps, before this gets proposed to the planning.
yeah.
But wouldn't we-
If you look at the emails that Anna sent me yesterday, which details some of those steps, that's an outline of those steps. Just like the amendment to the zoning code. There's a whole procedure.
All right, why don't you both talk about this offline?
Yeah, no, look at Andy's email,
Have a conversation.
at your leisure, and,
Did you share that with you?
Yeah, sure.
Andy, Cheryl, Village Board.
Sure.
Just, for the village board, this would be in the nature of a zoning code amendment.
Yes, that's right.
Which are very familiar.
And once we got that, wouldn't we then send it to the village board to the planning board for their comment on it?
No.
That would be the process.
One of the first few things that we is we would ask our village planner and our building inspector to offer their comments. What they think, because they're the legislative bodies, you have to decide first, is this something you want to move forward on to consider? To consider, doesn't mean you like it, you're in favor of it, but you want to take it to the next step. Next step, village planner, building inspector, send us your thoughts on this. From the building inspector's perspective, from the village planner's perspective. Then, if you're still okay with it, then there would be a proposed local law. In this case, it's a zoning map amendment, which we've never done before, at least I'm logging here. So I think we already have an idea of what would be modified, it's not, super complicated. But because they're not two separate tax lots already, that's a good thing. In terms of dealing with spot zoning, it's a great thing. It will not be spot zoning because this is a single lot. That's cut sort of nonsensically, artificially, by a zoning boundary. But you would need a meets and bounds legal description. This is mentioned in my email that I mentioned. There's a bunch of things that need.
There's a number of things that have to be done, which before we get.
There's the state environmental.
I would just say, why don't you talk to Mrs. Solarsky about, you sent an email, you can take a look at it and get back to you about what the process should be to get this started. Whether, I would be under the impression you would start the planning board too. If the idea is to start here and then we refer it to the planning board, that's fine too.
It's, when you're about 2/3 the way in, you send it to the.
Okay,
It's gotta be kind of thorough, the jello.
I got
Before you
it,
send
okay,
it to the planning board.
okay,
If that's a good analogy.
all right,
There's also SECRA, you would have to submit SECRA forms, state environmental requirement, you got it. You have to complete a part one, I would recommend the full form, the long form. And then, our village planner will draft, these SECRA documents that this village board has to, there's a lot of things that need to be done.
okay. Thank you, thank you as well for the presentation. I guess there'll be conversations that take place about what the path is going forward, yes, and also whether it might just make more sense. Given the long pathway, whether it might make more sense just to go for variances on it, that's your decision, your client's decision, I can't speak to it. But thank you for making the presentation, explaining it so well, so you understand all the issues, I want to thank the residents who came in to give us some flavor of what might be kind of the discussion going forward, and thank you, appreciate it, all right. Let us now move, I'm gonna skip ahead before public hearings can start, we could have started one at 7:30, I'm not gonna start it yet, we just have to start it after 7:30. I'm going to skip ahead to, is there a Coblin resolution or just a Coblin discussion?
It's a discussion, but it's the verbal resolution if the board is ready to move forward.
There is 11.1, there was communication from Bill about it, why don't you come up and talk to us about it? Just state your name and for the record.
My name is Lowell Schultz. I live on Henry Street in Nyack. This is the third time in reference to the Coblin, honoring him with the plaque, the street sign, and we actually plaque that I showed was in the window now.
Oh, okay, there is the plaque that you discussed, okay.
And it's the window, the Coblin window, and the story also, the review, blown up as well, and New Orleans brothers do that, no problem with it. And just like to know when they can have this, a lot of the other Coblin, and have this street sign.
Well, sorry, if he wants to know when they do the ceremony to the street sign. How does that work, Andy?
Those board will need to vote to direct me to place Jerry Coblin Lake sign on top of the Park Street sign and part of the Main Street.
Does it go above or below the street sign? I think it goes below. So people can see the street sign, however, post office street sign. All right, we've talked about this before, obviously a wonderful man that merited this kind of distinction. Is there any discussion that we want to have, anyone on the board?
No.
Or we have a written resolution, is it just a very simple, just say
It's
it?
very simple.
Okay.
The board wants that sign put up. Just tell them to do it.
And so I'll make a motion,
Second.
All right, this is a motion to instruct the village administrator to place a Jerry Coblin Way sign somewhere on the street side of the street pole, whatever, on the corner of, what do you say, Park?
Park on Main Street.
Corner of Park and Main Street, and to commemorate and remember Jerry Coblin from Coblin's Pharmacy. And we will have a ceremony at some point when that gets done, where we will honor him and his family. Is that the resolution? All right, all in favor of that resolution? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, and thank you for your work on getting this in front of us.
You're a good friend.
I need a friend like you when I die.
Yeah,
I
you're-
need someone to watch out for me and get some sort of, maybe Maybe I'll get a bench or something. No one's giving me a street. I'll be lucky if I get a, I'll be lucky if I get a sewer grate.
I just got plenty. You got a long, you got a long.
Well, not after this week. This week I might be, marching closer.
Is it Jerry with a J or Jerry with a G?
Let's make sure we get that right.
No,
I think it was Jay.
Gerald.
No, you
Hold it up.
with your final determination.
We want to do our regular, our regular.
Call him our expert?
Yeah.
That we may be remembering him rather than the pharmacy, so
Okay.
the resolution's for him by name. Yeah, he was Gerald with a G, but Jerry with a J, is on the obituary anyway, but let's double check that with the family. And get back to Andy so we don't put up a sign with the wrong name.
So,
Carlton with an O and then an I, Andy, so. All right, let us then, before we get to public hearings, let's do our resolutions. Oh, is that, yeah, she wasn't on the. Yes, is this on the agenda? Where's the, I went ahead, but I didn't call back which resolution? 109? All right, it's the third resolution, so let's get to it in the normal order. Can I get a motion for adoption of the minutes for May 21st? Motion. Can I get a second? Any comments or questions on the minutes? All in favor of adopting the minutes? Aye, motion carries unanimously. Action items, 7.1, resolution accepting the audited voucher summary. Got a motion? Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Let's 7.2, resolution 107. It's a permit application for a basketball event at Memorial Park on August 18th. Can I get a motion?
Motion. Second.
Any comments or questions? This is not the one we talked about separately. Andy, just to clarify.
There's more than one basketball tournament.
Okay.
Okay, so they're not conflicting on the days?
No.
Okay. Anybody have a comment or question about this?
No.
All right, this is a permit application. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. And now, 7.3, a resolution, to approve a permit application for Zachary Turgon, for a social and political event at Memorial Park on June 26th at 5 p.m. Can I get a motion?
Motion. Second.
Comments, questions? What's this about? Do we know anything about it?
What I'd like to know.
Sorry, this is a kind of a political education awareness get together with some family friendly games. It's Empire State Voices, which I think, I'm not sure what not that it matters, but they have some.
Yeah, we don't decide based on their point of view.
Some campaign work.
All right, how many people?
It's maybe 100 at the most.
They're doing games. How much of the park do they need to use?
I've been looking at the lower lawn for a cornhole and maybe playing some frisbee.
How much time?
I'd have to go back to that.
5 to 8, okay, 5 to 8, what, June 26th is what?
Friday.
It's a Friday?
Doesn't conflict with any other plan, yes.
Are they using a gazebo?
Yes. And they'll have sound with the some applications, I guess some speeches, maybe some music. It's kind of a big, sort of a picnic of games. Be that, political education.
Since this came up this week, let's just use this as an example that this is one that really stretches the boundaries of what we allow. 100 people is a lot of people. 5 to 8 p.m. on a Friday night is a tough night to approve an event. They're not just doing speeches from the gazebo, but they also have space that they need for games and dining. Are they bringing in any trucks or any food trucks or anything like that?
No, they have not talked about food trucks or tents.
How are they serving food then?
It's
picnic
I
style.
think they're
I'm in touch with Zachary, so I just asked him, so see if I can find out.
Okay.
about these-
All right, let's table it for now. We'll see if he gets back to us.
Yeah,
Okay. A motion to table?
Well, are we gonna have time before the event, because it's the twenty
Yeah,
sixth?
well, we don't know, table for today, see what's next, you now.
Before, oh, yeah.
Table for the end of the meeting.
Yes.
All right, can I get a motion to table until the end of the meeting?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, this is table, we'll come back to it when we come back to it. Okay, now, resolution, action item 7.4, resolution 26-109. To approve a permit application for Brittany Gordon of 9 Disability for an event in Memorial Park on Friday, June 19th. Can I ask her to come up, and perhaps bring her daughter to talk to us about this, it's about this event?
Can we get a motion?
Oh, can I get this on the table?
Motion, second.
Thank you.
No, big live action.
Technically, we should have her present before. So tell us about the event. What are we doing?
Okay.
Just,
Hi.
is it on?
Is it on?
It's on.
Yeah, I just
Okay.
have a lower voice, sorry.
Just focus your mouth, all right?
So sorry. So yes, I wanted to, provide, inclusive event to Naya, Memorial Park. For families of, African American families, even other than 6 of them. So yeah, I'm providing, I have 10 vendors such as cutting machines, trying to be on top of my head. I don't have a bounce house, so I do see that in different insurance. So I do have the cotton vending machine, I do have a teacher coming to play piano for, the young children and the families. I do have a vendor providing African American products. And I have the daycare kind to showcase their daycare. And there's more things I just right now, but it's all family friendly, it's all kid friendly. It's just to provide inclusive events. Like I said, I will be here again because I'm gonna keep asking for, positions to provide the inclusion for children of disabilities who cannot participate in regular activities that, we may not can participate in. So yes.
Good, just got questions. I thought so. Oh, you're just waving. I thought you were, Joe's waving at the typical grandfather, waving at the children.
So I actually have 2 bands. I have Jam Card Company. I just and I do have a journalist as well. Yes.
You say 2 bands?
Yes.
Is it a journalist? Is it a man?
Jam Card. It's
Jam card, right.
Yeah, okay.
Field.
And what's,
Yeah.
yeah, and a journalist, what's the journalist?
Journalist, she is with, Jehovah's Witness.
And she's speaking.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
How many people are you expecting?
I'm actually opening it to the community, so. 50.
You just don't know. Yeah, you know how many.
No,
It depends on how people show up.
I love Nyack. I just moved to Nyack last year, so I'm like, you know what? This is, I walk outside, everyone has to go, everyone say hi, hello, so like, this is where I can be me. So, yes.
Thank you for saying that.
That's, all right, this, I don't think there's if you could, you're using the gazebo, I assume, so.
Is it is it the bottom part of the park?
It
Yeah.
was the bottom, so
Yeah.
I did request from 11 to 4.
Right.
That's on Friday, you want 11 to 4,
Yes.
on a Friday afternoon. You're saying it like I just, it's a revelation, I mean,
No, because there's no school, I have to.
there's no school, okay, there's no school.
Yes.
And it's Juneteenth, yes, okay, that's fine, yeah, I gotta think about it too, you're right, there's a federal holiday. So it's just unusual, because it falls on a Friday, usually it doesn't, it's not tied to
It's
the Friday.
also new to us, so.
All right, so that's wonderful,
Yeah.
all right, I think, any other comments or questions?
I think it's great. I think it sounds wonderful because, everybody matters.
Yes.
And I love that it's, really shining a light on disability as well. Because, they're some of our smartest people and children, so I really love that.
I think that they gained another.
I agree. I also think this is really great. Have you talked with Rockland BOCES about letting them know? And because they have I think it's elementary age kids, and I could be incorrect, but all kids with disabilities who would definitely, come to the park, or like Joanio, I think it's around the same
Joanio,
age as
yeah.
well. So I would definitely recommend talking to those guys, because they would, I'm sure they would love an And any more that you put.
Thank you. So I am new to the nonprofit world, and I'm going to use that.
Yeah. Well, we have a contact. Also, if you want to set.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Any other comments or questions?
No.
All right, comment or question from. Is there-
Oh, yeah.
No food, if you have a food truck vendor, it just needs to get an inspection.
Yeah, that's good.
He's like, yeah.
And just, and no. So welcome, Nicole. All right, all in favor? Aye, motion carries unanimously and enthusiastically. Thank you. All right, let me, I'm gonna pause the agenda,
Okay.
to ask, Leanne Reese, to come up to give us a short presentation. I'm sorry, which I surprised you. I just didn't want to, I don't want to make you wait. I think we have not many, we'll go to the public hearings after we do the rest of the resolutions, but I want to give you a chance to talk about what you can talk about with Andy.
So I should start this out. Is that good? So Leanne and I, the board directed me to try to figure out a youth recreation program that makes sense for the village. And Leanne was my first stop on that because she founded and run a previous version of Youth Rec. And she works in Youth Rec in the private sector. And she also runs our summer food program. So she's kind of embedded with our nonprofit sector and a lot of kids in the middle of nowhere. So having said that, she and I did some brainstorming and we kind of hashed out a draft of a program proposal, which is probably summarize for you. You may not have had a chance to read it a little late in this meeting packaged together. But I wanted her to be here and just to say a word or two about what she does. But essentially it divides into three parts. What it boils down to in terms of budget is using cannabis money to pay Leanne to run a youth recreation program modeled roughly on the previous one, where a lot of the work was identifying local nonprofits and businesses that were hosting youth recreation programs and kind of putting that together into a schedule, negotiating fees, and curating the programming so it makes sense for the population that she's trying to support. So there's a lot of that sort of networking and putting together a program, registering people in the programs, the administrative side of that, figuring out fees and scholarships and things like that. So that's a big part of it. And there's a list of activity types in here. Most of that's under the elementary and middle school section.
I don't see.
I don't see
Is it in
it.
this?
What, yeah.
There's two.
No, is it in this?
Yes,
Oh,
Where?
where-
That's it.
we sent you a packet, so it's buried in there somewhere. All right.
All right, so maybe not going to the old program we don't have.
Youth recreation
Tell us
program
about
funding proposal, June 11th, so let me know when you found that and we could. This does make it.
No,
It's in here? It's not labeled.
I don't know.
It's a green box.
How wide are we?
All right,
So
so
the other one?
it was a scramble to get this packed together, so let me just verbalize. it.
Just tell us what's going on.
Yeah, tell us.
We're not voting anything tonight.
No, we're trying to.
All right, so tell us, just give us a narrative, what's going on.
So the idea is to provide youth programming opportunities seasonally. Through hosting agreements with local organizations, crafts, arts, music, theater, martial arts, kickball in the park, things like that. That she would organize and find people who would run that and administer the registration process and so on. The parts that would be different from what happened last time is the focus on the older students, more on the side of career exposure and kind of resume building. So to the extent that there's one of the focuses, one of the things we heard when I was meeting with the NIAC Center and some other folks over the period of a bunch of meetings was the importance of employment. And sort of developing employment and jobs. And so one of the things that we haven't really realized the potential of in the village is the county's student, what's it called, side.
Summer youth employment program.
And I was asking about it.
And it's a program which pays a portion of the wages of youth who are placed locally. But we really need to have somebody trying to find those hosts and working with the county youth bureau to set that up, because Nyack kids haven't had the kind of curated support to get into those positions that we'd like to see. So there's not a lot of people doing it, Village. It feels like an area we can improve on if we had some focus support for somebody at the end. So that's a part of it. A team leadership training program that's a little bit similar to that, but you read about it in memo. And also a focus on community service, because a lot of students have community service hours that they want to complete. And they sort of snow shoveling during blizzards and leaf raking and, you know, maybe painting park benches, other kinds of things we can get them doing. We can give those students a chance to feel a sense of community service and accomplishment and so on. Goes along with that, those kinds of experiences. So that's kind of the general scope of the idea. It will cost some money. Roughly, I think our budget projection is around $67,000 a year.
How much?
67. And a lot of that will go to Leanne's labor and organizing and coordinating, but also things like miscellaneous prizes and food and equipment, scholarship fund, promotional materials and things like that. So it's not an insubstantial investment, but that's what it costs to sort of start up a youth recreation program in Village.
Okay, if you don't mind, I'd like to hear some of what you have to say also. Also, would this entail, because I sent Andy an email or a text a couple of weeks ago asking about the similar thing, like, do we have any summer employment? Do we have any internships? Because like I know kids, if they can't get a job, can we do that to the village? Provide that, to the village hall, provide that, you know, like somebody that's in college for accounting, could they have an internship with our guy, you know, or something? So this is really great. So tell me, you want to hear from me too?
Thank you, the board, for sort of reinvesting that impact into the youth.
It's always, yeah, it's always
Reinvesting
something I
back
think
into
about that.
Reinvesting back into the youth. Nyack. So yeah, I did the programming bit of this. Joe, your kids were in it back in the day. Yeah. Natalie, did your kids take it? Yeah.
We used
So
to
I
have a
did-
recreational program.
We used to
here
have
before,
it.
yes.
Melody was the recreation
Yes.
director. I did the
Yeah.
programming part of it. So
Yes, I remember.
coordinated the classes. Some of the classes were people that the village employed to run classes. A lot of them were, I'm just gonna use an example, say the knitting store does classes, or
Mhm.
you know, the building store does classes. We would organize a group, we would have the outreach, we would we would negotiate the fees with them. We would take enrollment for some of the software that we even talked about, Rec Pass, and that's what it's called. So that's the programming piece of this, the employment piece of this. I had worked for the SIAP program when I was in college. It's a fantastic program. And the village doesn't really participate. That's where a lot of that kind of internship, real like work experience comes in handy. You know, when, the summer field program, we were hiring one person and got so many applications. We were hard to now with jobs. We really is a need, not just for jobs, but job experience.
And training.
So yeah, that piece of it, there's not really a coordinator. I mean, I've interviewed for Johnson, the SIAP program as an adult. They sort of can't crack the code of how to get into Nyack, so there is a need. There is a need to sort of broker that relationship. Our students in the SIAP program and jobs within the village for our students to be able to get to. So
I really like that. I know at the library, like community service too, like we would have kids do it there, so you would be able to kind of reach out to the other businesses and other places in the village for that, if we couldn't have them painting a bench or doing stuff
part of
just for
that,
us, so that's really good.
and part of that model was, Joe, you were getting the youth to sign up for snow shoveling. People
Right.
did snow shoveling. I saw that I believe it's Austin, runs that through their recreation department.
Interesting.
So you reach out to Coach Sagillo and you say, you know, football team needs to stay in shape. It's snowing, you know, like you need somebody to kind of broker that.
Much better them than me, I will say that, yes, much better football team than
Yeah,
breaking back.
exactly.
All right, sounds great.
It does, it really does.
A little random, but would any of the, I guess, teen employees end up in the pension system?
Pension system.
Yeah, the reason I ask is because when my sister was an intern here at the water department, she ended up in the pension system because she was working. So I wasn't.
Pension.
It's the pension system, and she has a better pension than me, and I'm a little later about it, but whatever.
It depends on if teams are being employed by the village.
Right, that's
okay.
what it.
Right, so the SIA
Yeah.
program, I think they're in their
Oh,
county.
Yes, they are.
And they
Yeah.
can, and then that's also an important piece as well, with our summer food employees. We try to make sure that they, you know, sign into the pension system, so
Yeah.
that they're at whatever tier they're at.
Yeah.
In the event that they,
Right, right, so.
in the event that they continue as adults in within the pension system.
And then with that, with, I guess, this cohort of kids, would there be any type of financial literacy courses provided? Only because it kind of goes hand in hand at some point. I don't know if it's even worth doing.
So that brings us to the piece we haven't talked about yet, which is basically creating our own local version of the team leadership rocking program.
Oh, I like it.
We would have a curriculum for maybe 12 to 15 high school students who would learn about emergency services, learn about the village budgeting process, learn kinds of professions that we have easy access to, and we can set up. So we've got building inspectors, planners, and lawyers, and engineers, and other people who we could draft to for workshops and so on. So that's the other piece that we thought we could put together with the kids.
I would say even including that, sorry, include the water department, only because
Absolutely. Big fan.
I've heard they ask from Tom more than once that he feels like, I mean, in terms of all village work in general, if we get them while they're young and start training them, then they stay here, you can work here or also. But double,
We also talked about some of the middle, like the little grades, you know, little kids
yeah,
going to the, you know, the craft store to take classes. Those middle years though, they're hard to get. That's a majority, you know.
So that's my question, what age group are we starting,
So
like, what is the range?
So the younger kids, I would imagine, would be sort of your like elementary age kid to do, you know, kickball and park kind of thing, those classes that are crafts and sports. Middle grades are notoriously difficult, so like, I think I sort of talked about things like, the babysitter course, which would be a rec program, it's offered in the rec program.
Yes.
In Orange Town, those, you know, and that comes with all of that, and CPR and. So we were brainstorming different things for that, those middle age, including, you know, a week at the fire department, learning, you know, learning how to climb ladders and that.
I really love that because I feel like our whole society, like kids used to grow up, oh, I want to be a ball player. I want to be a fireman. They'll forget sports because they can't even afford to get in and see them really, unless they're on TV. But it's really great for them to have that kind of hands-on experience to really see that it's still a career. And they can still, and it's still tangible. So.
The town of Greenbrook does,
yep,
Right,
I know,
Greenberg.
oh, yes, yeah, I know.
yeah, so it's like they do the firehouse, they're doing the
Yeah.
ambulance
Does your
for.
husband too? Well, you'll probably, is he still working? Is he still a fireman? Yeah.
He is still, he is fire chief.
Chief, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, Greenberg has a great program and they actually pay the older kids to do some of that stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm working to figure out exactly how they run their program and who runs their program. I do have a name.
Yeah, yeah. And let me know if you need help with that one, but I'm sure Howie knows.
Yeah.
And then also just, I guess, on our end of that, I know that OCFS often will offer like summer money for programs like this, so when we're ready. Oh, see,
She got another grant from the state of Massachusetts at Carroll's office.
nice, okay.
So
These things, great things that Carol.
Yes, it's better. All right, that's great, thank you.
Thank you.
It's really exciting. Thank you.
All right, given the. That we have our building department people here, we have planner, and we have chief building inspector. Let's, I don't want to go through the rest, because it might take us a little bit to get through the rest of the action items. So it's time for us to open up. We can open up the public hearings. If anybody, there's no one really here, but if anybody was watching and wants to get to they said, oh, it said 7:30 and 8 o'clock. It's now 8:30. So let's start. Can I get do we need a motion to open the continued public hearing?
And they have already, has it previously been open?
This has been open before.
Just recognize that we're continuing.
Okay, we are now continuing the public hearing that we started at a prior meeting. This is a public hearing to consider a local law to repeal local laws number 2 and 7 to amend chapters 360 so as to refer and defer to New York State's preemptive regulations and laws regarding proximity and distance for cannabis dispensaries.
2025.
Of 2025, yes, the local laws 2 and 7 of 2025. Is there any public comment on these, on the proposed local law? All right, for our internal purposes, Dennis, could you talk us through the process of making sure we've made full review of all the different documents in front of us?
Sure.
Lead us through that and take us through.
SECR.
Dennis, could you use your microphone, please?
Oh, sorry.
This is, we have an attachment for this, the state packet.
State Environmental Quality Review Act must be completed first, environmental review. We started that at a previous meeting, 1 or 2 meetings ago, where you reviewed the part 1 of the environmental assessment form prepared, recommended by our village planner, Bob Galvin. Also, Mr. Galvin's, the village planner's part 2 of the SEQRA, SEQRA, environmental assessment form. And based upon that, and also village planner Galvin's local water coastal assessment form. The coastal assessment form was also submitted for your consideration at the previous meeting. And we also submitted a narrative. I believe Mr. Galvin or village planner submitted a narrative, and we also had a discussion about the potential for any significant adverse environmental impact. If you should adopt this proposed local law, which again is to repeal local laws 2 and 5, the separate local laws. 7
of 2025.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Local law 2 and local law 7 of 2025. And you came to a consensus that you felt that there would be no potential for significant adverse environmental impact, and you instructed me to advise our village planner Galvin to prepare what is known as the negative declaration, which is the part 3 of the SEQRA environmental assessment form, and to draft it in a manner that reflects that there would be a finding or determination of no potential significant adverse environmental impact, which would be a negative declaration. That has been prepared and it is part of your packet. And so part of the resolution that you're considering includes the SEQRA findings and determinations that you would make, which includes your finding of accepting the proposed recommended negative declaration, the SEQRA EAF Part 3 from the village planner Galvin. So that's something in the resolution that you would be agreeing to, so just be aware of that. That's it.
Okay,
Then the rest, what follows is your consideration of whether or not you want to adopt the local law.
You summarize it for me?
And it is repealing, local law 2 and local law 7, 2025, which predominant. I think 100% of those local laws amended the cannabis dispensary proximity distance regulations. And they are preempted, those regulations are preempted by New York State law and New York State regulations relating to cannabis dispensaries. The specific area of distance and proximities between cannabis dispensaries is preempted by state law and regulations, so you cannot, no municipality in New York State can
well,
differ.
I don't think we need to even get into the preemption argument. The argument has been that we want to repeal the laws that we passed last year, one of which one of which was passed to modify restrictions, the second one, which was passed to modify the first one, and now we're saying we want to eliminate both of them.
Right, and the main legislative intent and purpose is to defer and refer to the preemptive state laws and regulations relating to cannabis dispensary distance, proximity, measurements,
In other words, to rely on the new legislative regulation.
because you have to.
Well, we don't, I'm stopping you only because I do not think we need to make a legal determination of whether we are preempted. We've asked that question. It's a good question. I think the answer is yes, but that is not why we're making this law. We're making this law because we think we've changed our mind about the law that we passed. We want to withdraw it. One of the reasons we've changed our mind on it is the likelihood that it's preempted, but that's not we're not doing this because we've been given indication, we've been given a specific instruction that's preempted. We're doing this because we want to eliminate the law, and we've now done an evaluation and determined that there's no positive secret, no adverse environmental impact that would rise to the level of significance required for a positive declaration. Is that correct?
That's part of your resolution.
That's part of the
Should
resolution.
make a declaration.
Okay. I'm trying to say that I don't want anyone to say that we made this under the mistaken impression that we were under a legal obligation of preemption, because if indeed there were to be a court decision that said that the state law did not preempt us, that would not invalidate this law. This law is on its own merit. We are withdrawing those two pieces of legislation that we passed last year. If the state law changes, well, then we will have to adapt to the state law changing, correct?
And if you adopt this local law,
Yes,
yeah, because
we're leaving it, we're deferring, yes.
State laws and regulations.
Yes, I like the idea that we are deferring to the state laws and regulations, but I don't want the legal determination, yes. I don't want to make the legal determination that we are preempted because we don't need to make that. We don't need the legal conclusion as part of our reason.
Well, in all candor, it is in the resolution, that is one of your
The
findings.
possibility that it is.
It's not possibility, in my legal opinion, there's 3 advisory opinions from the
All right.
cannabis control.
Now, let's finish up the environmental and then we can go to the resolution.
And the environmental is part of the.
Are we done with the review of the rest? I just want to make sure we've gone through the environmental assessment, we're done with the environmental, and we are ready now to talk about the actual resolution.
Yes,
Okay, as long as we close the public hearing, or do we make the resolution while we have the public hearing?
you simply close the public
All
hearing.
right, is there any other public comments on this? Can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
I.
Motion carries unanimously. Okay, so let's skip ahead to 7.13, which is resolution 26-118, which goes through the repealing of the local laws. And
Joe, if I can comfort you, yes, maybe that's not the way you word it.
comfort is fine. I like
If
comfort.
you look in the first paragraph of the legislative authority, purpose, and intent of the actual local law, there's a reference to 3 New York State Cannabis Control Board advisory opinions that are spot on, stating exactly what I summarized earlier, that these 3 municipalities, the town of Riverhead, out on Long Island, town of Southampton, also on Long Island, and the town of Tuxedo up here in Orange County, had adopted local laws that were different than the proximity distance regulations relating to dispensaries that the state had in its laws and regulations, and these 3 advisory opinions said, no, not copacetic, you cannot do that, that's not appropriate, it's not legal. And those 3 advisory opinions came late in 2025, after you adopted local law, was it 3 and 7? 2 and 7. After you adopted local law 2 and 7 of 2025, after that, these advisory opinions came down, which solidified what I already had preliminary. And if you remember way back in those days when we had those very contentious public hearings, I had suggested that, this was a whole new area, but I was of the feeling that we were preempted. But I did not have these advisory opinions to stand on. Well, we have them now. And they came after local law 7 of 2025, and obviously after local law 2. So that is another important reason supporting why this local law legally, in my legal opinion, is something you should adopt, because you're preempted by the state.
Yeah, in that paragraph on the page 11,
Here are what will give. Is that resolution now? Shall remove as well as the amendments. The zoning code takes preemptive county consideration or not. Yes. That's what I was asking. Yeah, you should.
Sorry, say it again, but you're asking about what?
No,
Yeah, I can't hear you.
The microphone.
I didn't hear. I didn't hear you.
So, yeah.
I'm sorry, but, so the reason why I mentioned the issue of preemption is that it's in the local law. That we were talking about, page, if you look at page 11.
That's the resolution. Is it in the
In
local
the
law? or is that-
resolution, in the resolution. Second page, the middle paragraph. The repeal of local laws 2 and 7 of 2025 shall remove from the zoning code the amendments and modifications made to the village code. Therefore, conforming the zoning code to the state's preemptive cannabis regulations and laws concerning proximity and distance.
So
So I mean, what we're doing is basically conforming to the state.
yeah, but why is that an issue?
It's not an issue,
Oh.
it's a clarification.
Oh, yes. Then yes, that is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yes. But to Mayor Jones' point, we're choosing to take this action of our own volition. We're not being compelled in any way to do it.
Would that be what?
We're not being
Compelled.
compelled in any way to,
No,
we're
that's
choosing of our
correct.
resolution.
That is correct.
Take that off.
That's right.
Does that clarify everyone's
The
points?
mayor is correct about that.
Okay, good. Are we ready?
Are there any other steps that we should go through to make sure that we do not have any inconsistencies or?
Well, I think it would be good for me to ask you, have you all read the proposed resolution? And do you have any questions for me, or we do have the privilege of the village planner being here, Mr. Galvin, if you have any questions for me. But let's.
And do you have any questions about the law itself, which is in our packet?
Of course. So we're all presuming that you read the proposed resolution and local law. What is the current regulation on businesses? New York State. They have not changed as far as the village's regulations concerned. There was some talk about recent change that the mayor circulated that had to do with a different aspect of cannabis that doesn't affect the village. It was one of these types of agro cannabis type business or something like that. The village. As far as our village proximity distance regulations that we have on the books right now, actually mirrors exactly the state. 2,000 feet. I believe it's 2,000 feet for recreation. So now don't quote me, but whatever we have on the books right now mirrors the state. Right, so.
It's 2,000 feet of state regulation. Okay, thank
And
you,
that's-
Bob Galvin, has clarified that for us.
And that's the proximity between dispensaries.
Between dispensaries.
That's
Yeah, there's also the school, the church,
But all those are still the same, the 5.
those are all the same. Those are not changed.
Okay.
Those are, I believe those are in the law itself.
Mhm.
Well, this local law would be removing those from our code.
We created a new proximity between two cannabis locations. We created that for our own jurisdiction. We're now removing that
Correct.
and deferring to whatever the state regulation is on
Which
it.
happens to be exactly.
Exactly what we had, yes. All right, anybody else want to ask questions about the law or the resolution?
Thinking maybe.
With the,
No, it's on. We hear you, it's on.
with the GML, the county came back and said that they had no change of the.
All right, so let's read the rest of the record. To the resolution, let's read it to the record. The GML came back with no,
No comment. They
No comment.
deferred, we're using that word tonight. They deferred for local decision.
okay. All right,
That's the Rockland County planning law.
having reviewed the resolution, having reviewed the local law, having reviewed the environmental documentation, that the assessments that were done by Planner Galvin, and reviewing all the impact assessment and determination of significance. Everything else that's in the packet that relates to this legislation. Does anybody else have any comments or questions about it? All right, I do not know that I put the resolution on the table, so can you get resolution 713-26-118 on the table?
Motion.
Second.
All right, any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And that's the end of that. All right, public hearing is already closed. Motion to open the public hearing. This is a new public hearing, not a continuation, to consider the proposed local law to amend chapter 360 of the Code of Village of Nyack to add provisions regarding adaptive reuse of eligible religious and or educational buildings and uses for the purpose of constructing multifamily dwellings. Can I get a motion to open the public hearing?
Second.
Joe Natalie. So just so everybody understands, the purpose of this is to allow that for existing churches and schools that are within the village, that they would, in the event that they were to be cease their current use, they could be converted to multifamily housing as if they were in a multifamily zone. Is that generally a description, generality of the law?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not changing the zoning, it's treating them as if they were in another zone, and subject to the same rules that would apply to multifamily zones for that particular parcel. It only applies for adaptive reuse, so that doesn't give them the opportunity to knock the building down, but they could adaptive reuse into multifamily houses. Why are we doing this? Two reasons. We want more housing. Number two, we don't want the owners of these buildings to be limited in their sale of the buildings by the fact that somebody would then have to continue their current educational or religious use, which is basically grandfathered, or they would have to then convert the property to what might likely be a two-family or single-family zone, which would be a very much of an inferior use of the property than its current use, and much inferior to allowing for multifamily development of the existing structure. So that's the basic idea of it. Does anybody have comments?
Summary is, I want to mention this, Mayor Joe, is it has to stay within the existing envelope of the existing building.
Yes,
So the retrofitting adaptive reuse to multifamily residential units has to be within the existing frame, the existing envelope of the existing building. Cannot be expanded.
okay. Any comments, questions? We have in our packet, we have the environmental assessment form, project one, part one, project and setting. That is completed. We have appendix B, the short assessment form.
I'm trying to trust this way.
I just want to make sure we have a discussion. Yeah,
Oh, no,
yeah, do we have, is there a reason we could not discuss the rest? I don't know, is there anybody with a public comment on this?
That's forward.
Do you have a public comment on this issue? Okay. So we can discuss it, and if anybody happens to come to the meeting, was watching online and says, oh my gosh, I want to make public comment on this. We're at the village hall. And the impact assessment part two indicates that no or small impact may occur based on the legislation. The waterfront assessment form is completed. And there's a memo to us about the overlay zone from Bob Galvin dated May 23rd, 2026.
And the planning board also weighed in on this.
That's mentioned in the resolution. I actually copied and pasted right. I copied and pasted it directly from the village planning board's advisory opinion to this board. And then summarize, just copy it.
So I want to thank the planning board, they actually came up with a number of issues that they saw in the original resolution. Primarily with regard to the Bosse's property, that it did say that it would import the uses of occupancies that were B and U2 zoning district into a TFR zoning district, and they said that, wise thing to do. So you don't want a commercial uses in the OC property. And, the other thing was the FAR. For that property. Because it should be, and the FAR is done at a FAR.
No, I don't believe any of the residential zoning districts have a flow ratio FAR, regulation. So by referencing, what is essentially the closest property will, be subject to the FAR of the MFR zoning district. I can't remember which one, two, or three. There's no FAR regulation. My very, very vague recollection of the discussions I've had with, maybe the village planner Galvin, maybe with the mayor, village administrator, maybe you folks as well, was that, and help me out, and maybe someone else here can remember specifically why we referred to, okay, can I finish? Oh, okay. Was that was intentional. That was intentional because the multifamily residential districts right now, MFR 1, 2, and 3, or I think those are all of them, don't have floor ratio. So if we're going to allow an adaptive reuse to essentially be an MFR type of building, a multi-unit apartment building, then why should this adaptive reuse be subject to an FAR number when the MFR zoning districts right now don't have FAR? I think that was the reasoning behind it, but I'm gonna defer to the policymakers, and let's see, village planner Galvin, may have some recollection of why that was.
Okay, and then, for this, and then have the view. And, before,
Speak louder. Turn the mic towards your face, don't turn it up, don't speak into this part, not this part,
Okay.
this part, yes, that,
You got it?
yes.
Okay.
Maybe.
The other thing is the NFL, the three multi-families, they only have density, they don't have FAR. And we use actually the second one, which is 30 units to the income. So that's what my definition is.
So they're saying that there are no FAR regulations or restrictions in the MFR zoning districts. So they say, why is there a reference to a FAR restriction in the legislation, section 2(1)(b)(e)(2)?
Should be changed.
Is what?
It could be, revised to make intensity, however you want to do it. It's 30 units to the acre. And that's what.
Well, we're not talking about density now, we're just talking about the FAR and floor ratio. And what the planning board's objection was that
It's superfluous.
for again, for purposes of brevity, the BOCES property is making a reference that it would be subject to the FAR of the MFR 2 or 3 zoning district. None of the MFR zoning districts, again, have an FAR regulation. So the planning board was like, well, that's a reference to nothing. Now, I didn't mention this to the planning board at the time because I didn't recall it at the moment, but afterward, I had this recollection that was intentional. And again, the reason that I think.
Are you talking about issue number 2 or issue number 3 that they raised? Because we were talking about issue number 3. On page 9 of whatever it is, page 9 of,
Motion in favor of those unfavorable to the language that calls out, the bullet point 2.
bullet point 2.
Yeah, that's what I'm
You're
talking about.
talking about 2.
Yes.
Joe was just talking about 3. So I don't want to confuse the 2. Can I just make?
No, I'm talking about 3, bullet point 3. So
Okay,
now, as far as bullet point 2, thank you, I'm correct. I was talking about bullet point 3 for the record. Bullet point 3. So back to bullet point two,
Oh, wait. Can we finish the conversation on bullet point three? Then get to two.
My recollection was that you guys, you know, again, maybe you started with the mayor and village administrator, village planner, perhaps Manny had offered a comment. And maybe some of you was MFR right now does not have, I said this already, does not have an FAR regulation. So if we're gonna treat these adaptive reuse buildings as if they are an MFR structure with residential apartments inside, why should they have a floor area ratio restriction? Well, the other MFRs don't.
Yeah, no,
Now, you can, of course, like Rose Penna Galvin said, if you want to give them an FAR restriction, adaptive reuse for the BOCES property, you could do that. You could do it for any of the adaptive reuse that proposes.
All right. Since
That would require an amendment to what's before you now, and you have to recirculate.
let me just read, I'm gonna read section. 2(1)(b)(e)(2). That if you flip ahead to the tab that says public hearing on. Adaptive reuse, all right, it's page 3 of 5. It's at the, E2 is at the bottom of page 5. You can see where there's a little bracketed 2. And I'm gonna read that into the record so that we can discuss, since both bullet points 2 and 3, which are their only objections, relate to this section. They otherwise say that they're okay with the entire legislation. It says, section 2 says, an eligible building's maximum density shall not exceed that of the multifamily residential 3 zoning district. The eligible building shall also be subject to the maximum floor area ratio restrictions prescribed for the multifamily residential 2 MFR 2 zoning district. However, if an eligible building is sited on a lot in excess of 4 acres and within 750 feet of a commercial zoning district, then the BOT may approve of any use that is allowed in the downtown mixed-use 2 zoning district, subject to the maximum FAR restrictions prescribed for the DMU2 zoning district, and so long as there is no net loss of usable open space or outdoor recreational areas on the property. Okay, let's break that down. Their first objection, well, let's do the third bullet point first. They say we're not in favor of language that refers to a FAR restriction for the MFR2 zoning district because there are no FAR regulations or restrictions prescribed in the zoning code for MFR districts. So they're saying, hey, there aren't any restrictions on MFR, so why does it reference restrictions for FAR in the multifamily residential? My argument would be, well, at some point in the future, there may be MFR restrictions, there may be floor area FAR restrictions in the multifamily residential, at which point this would say these would be subject to it. So if there are any changes made to the multifamily district, it would now apply to this overlay district. Is that basically correct? So they're saying it's superfluous. I'm saying it's probably superfluous, but it's not objectionable. And it gets to it incorporates protections that otherwise wouldn't be there. Because if we put in 5 years, a board decides to add some FAR restrictions for multifamily residential, those would now be incorporated in the overlay zone, even though right now it has no actual impact. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is that correct? I've got a sense all the way around. All right. The next part of this, and their bullet point 3, they say, well, we're not in favor, it's bullet point 2. We're not in favor of the language that carves out an exception, special treatment for the BOCES property because it would import the uses and occupancies of the DMU2 zoning district into a TFR zoning district. And they're exactly right. And that's exactly the whole purpose of the law. That's exactly the purpose of the law, is to incorporate denser uses to make the property valuable for someone to buy. But it's only a adaptive reuse. So if someone were to buy the BOCES property and try to turn it into apartments, they would have to stay within the envelope of the property. They would have to maintain all the open space that's currently there. They would be subject to the kinds of regulations that apply to DMU2, which, as you will recall, does not require ground floor retail and has all sorts of rules relating to apartment allocation, things like that. Okay, so their third objection is true, but in the future it could become relevant. Their second objection is what they're saying is we don't want you to be able to treat a property, and really they're talking about the BOCES property, as if it were a DMU2 property, but the point of legislation is to allow a more dense housing use on properties that are not currently housed. Is that correct?
Yes,
DMU
but
permits
DMU also
commercial.
allows commercial retail.
Okay, it allows commercial, but it doesn't require it.
Right, you can have doctor's offices.
Yeah, it doesn't require it. That was what I said. It doesn't require it. DMU2 allows it, but it's not required the way DMU1 does. DMU1
The
requires.
code, first floor may have to be commercial. Danny?
That is correct. The DMU one, the first floor must be commercial.
What about DMU two?
It does not. Yes, DMU2 does not need first floor.
But it could be.
It could be, it doesn't have to be. That was a change that was made several years ago.
So, but the language says for DMU two then.
Yes, it's relative to DMU2. So they would not have to have first floor.
Yes.
It would incorporate, what it would do is, my guess is, it incorporates the ability to do more housing than would be allowed under multifamily. But given that we're also saying that they cannot expand the envelope of the building to take away any of the open space, that's the trade-off.
I had a lot of hesitation about that, Joe. The law of unintended consequences. I know that DMU2, you could increase residential, but there's also a possibility that a developer say, well, if the DMU-2 proper zone, I'm gonna add some commercial, uses on the first floor. The problem with that is this is smack dab in the middle of the residential neighborhood. That's my problem. Is there any way to write it so that?
I just want to interject only because I currently work in a space that was literally an old school that has been rented, I work in a space that's now, that was a refurbished old school. I think the type of commercial you're thinking about is probably not gonna actually go in there. It might end up being like instead of BOCES work or Rockland Nurses in the whole building, they might have an office. Or like legal services, they might have an office as well. Like, that's more what might go in there, which there is a provided community benefit to that, and the building is already being used in that capacity in some way. So I hear what you're saying on unintended consequences, because we just never know, but if it's the adaptive reuse that I think we're all imagining, outside of like units, it ends up being more of like a community hub. But like I said,
It's also being used right now, you say, as a school, which
Yes.
is much more disruptive than if there was a cafe there or a doctor's office or something
yes,
like
it's
that.
8 a.m. on that.
So that's why I would push back at you about that. Also, just so I can clarify, remind me, anyone who takes advantage of this legislation, do they need to come to the village board for a special permit to do so?
Yes.
Yes.
So.
Ultimately, the village board gets to decide what happens there. We should assuage concerns about the unintended consequences, because if somebody does something that's wacky and unexpected, the village board can always slap it down.
Okay.
That'd be my argument.
The only thing the planning board can do is.
Site development. plan.
Site development plan, yes, we get to decide.
That goes.
That goes to planning, we get the final approval the way we do on some other special use cases that we get. Remember, the purpose of this is to, one, allow for housing, and two, to allow for the owner of that building, which is currently the school district, that if they were to sell it, it would not need to be maintained as educational uses, because the educational uses might be very limited, they may not be able to find a good buyer for it, or a very limited pool of buyers. This way, they'd be able to develop it for residential, which would add pretty good amount of residential to the community, and also would avoid the district taking they'd be able to get more money for it.
You're also.
Why should I leave them with it? Yeah.
Why don't you, and,
No, it's on.
and you're actually, saving, the open space.
Now we're saving the open space. By doing this, we're requiring that they maintain the open space of that property. That particular property, but there are obviously other applications besides BOCES. It applies to other educational and religious buildings as well. All right. Thank you, Joe, for clarifying that, because that allowed us to kind of get into the meat of it a little bit.
Can I ask?
Sure.
I'm sorry to be, can it say that, commercial uses retail commercial uses are not allowed.
I want there to be the possibility of commercial retail uses.
No, I'm saying
I live in that area. I live a block from there.
retail use.
And if there was a cafe there, I would actually be very happy to have a cafe there. If there was if someone's gonna put a commercial property on the first floor of that building, it is almost certainly there's gonna be a market reason to do so. Like it serves a need for that community or the building itself, or it's retaining because the building's getting sold, but Bosse's wants to keep some offices or uses on the first floor. So I don't have a problem with it, and I'm just gonna be very plain. I do not want to change a word of this. I would like to pass it tonight. And if we want to change a word of it, it's another month before we can get around to doing that. So I'd like to get it done. It'll be a couple of months, so I'd like to get it done.
Substantial change, like, you know.
We have to renotice it and everything like that.
Well,
But, so you can vote against it.
no, I know that.
So,
I'm in favor of adaptive reuse in general. For me, the most important thing is that any plan comes before the village board.
Which is well.
And then we can decide on the spot whether or not we agree or not. So with that being said, I will support it.
Okay, very good, very good. Yeah, that fail safe does kind of assuage a lot of
Yeah,
murky concerns about what might happen in the future,
right, but.
which is why we put it in.
Right, that's what I was gonna say, that's why this whole.
It wasn't there originally. We added that during the process of the deliberations. We said, let's make that
That's what I.
because, and that was really, that came in, that wasn't in the law. And you brought it up and I said, you know what, you're right. We should have that as a fail safe to protect against, somebody doing something that is not anticipated right now. We always have the ability to be able to approve it via the special permit, because they need a special permit to do anything with this, on any of the properties, not just Bosse's. All right, any other comments or questions? I want to thank very much Bob Galvin. I want to thank Manny. I want to thank Dennis. I want to thank Andy. This was a fairly significant endeavor to figure this out, to accomplish what I think is a very important goal for the village, to maintain, to take a lot of properties that now could be used for housing that aren't currently used for housing, as well as to allow the owners of those buildings to maintain them for the highest and best use. If there are no other comments or questions, I'll call the question. Anything else? All right, all in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Public hearings.
Oh, sorry, well, I guess this was later. Thank you. I will hold off on doing the vote on the resolution. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All right, all in favor? The public hearing is now closed. Can I take up, can I get a motion to take up the action item? I think it's 7:12. It's 7:30. 7:12, 7.12 is resolution. Another page up, resolution 2026-117. A resolution to amend chapter 360 of the zoning code to allow provisions for adaptive reuse. Can I get this on the table?
Motion.
Second.
Any comments or questions beyond what we did in the public hearing? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it, unanimously. Thank you all. And that's 7:12. And now we will go back. Our public hearings are over. We were up to, in our action items, up to 7.4. So let's take up 7.5.
Before we do, we can revisit 7.3, I did get more information.
Okay, let's go back to 7.3, which was the resolution. Zachary Turgon, can I get a motion to put that, take that off the table, put it back? I'm sorry, put it back, whatever. So it's back up for discussion.
Motion. Second.
Okay, so let's take this up. He got back to us about the number of people and some other things.
He didn't get back to us about the number of people they don't have, and they're doing a, RSVP, they haven't advertised anything yet,
Okay.
but it's roughly probably between like 30 and up, because their events are set, but it's like around like the 30 to 50, I would say for now. If they tell me more, I'll let you guys know, but it's just kind of like a block party barbecue type situation, food, family friendly games. Obviously, government information or, election information, there will not be barbecuing.
Okay.
I did ask if there will be food trucks, they haven't figured that out, but they said that it's not a deal breaker if if we don't allow them to have a food truck, they're not gonna.
I figured they got, I mean,
There's usually a food truck there.
Right, exactly. So,
They are around.
They have to be inspected.
yeah.
I got that in my head now. I actually advised somebody, they needed, if they wanted to do that food truck.
We'll make sure the taco was in there.
Yeah. They are gonna have, obviously, I think they said they were gonna have games like soccer, cornhole, like all those usual things, so it's more of like a summer,
Okay,
like
All right.
hangout. If they get local vendors, I think they're trying to, but I don't know how successful that will be since this is in 2 weeks. But yeah,
can I just recommend, and this does not have to be part of the resolution, but while we're on the subject. That we provide a list of do's and, we have the application has some information on it, but let's get a list of do's and don'ts. Of things that they are allowed to and not allowed to do. And let's make sure prominently on there is that they are not allowed to go into the culvert and walk
I
up
will
the
say,
brook.
these are people whose frontal lobes have been fully developed.
Yes, I know that,
25.
I understand.
So,
I understand, but
they will exercise better judgment,
I expect that they will, but I think to be safe, I think we should have that.
fair
I
enough.
think we should also indicate that we require adult supervision, adequate adult supervision of any children under the age of
Yes.
18. And no lighting fires, and no especially lighting fires on picnic tables, which has happened. And we'll come up with a list of others that we can put in there as well.
Now, I do think that has happened by people who have a fully developed.
Yeah, there are things that people do when they're 13 and things that they still continue to do when they're older, but maybe not fully, maybe not fully in their right mind. Maybe they've been imbibing for a little while. I think this sounds like a good idea to do a barbecue right on top of the plastic plastic picnic table.
Loving it.
All right, any other comments or questions about this event, 26-108? All in favor of approving it? Aye, all opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. 7.5, resolution 26-110. This is to amend the village standard schedule of fees with regard to parking violations. Can I get this on the table?
Motion.
Any public comments on this issue? She left.
I didn't see, double talking, maybe I saw them.
It's double parking.
I didn't see, double talking. Is it on there? Maybe I missed it.
Double parking is down, it's about a third of the way down.
Okay.
We increased the initial fines and late fees by $25 each. So the original violation was 50, then 75, it's now gonna be 75 and on.
Okay, great. Better,
It's tough, they're not, alphabetical, yes. And I think, next time we do this, can we get them alphabetized or maybe done in order of some, I don't know, some, frequency, or like the frequency of the violations, the most obvious ones and the ones most common are at the top. Anyway, we're not gonna do this for a while, so that doesn't really matter. Any other comments or questions? We talked about all of these?
Yeah, but Joe, you saw where the double park.
Yeah,
Oh,
we just gave it to him.
yeah,
He's okay.
I'm fine with these.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor of the new schedule? Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries unanimously. 7-6, well, then when someone gets a bad fine, they can say, hey, I voted against it. That's someone get up the political future.
It's unfortunate, I can't change my vote, but.
Yeah, it's not, forget it. She's on record. And in fact, for the record, she said,
Hey.
make those SOBs pay.
Listen, that wasn't on the record. We have videotape, with video.
Don't think about that. AI can change anything. I can have to say anything I want.
And see, as you use it, so.
So, 7.6, resolution 26-111, to approve the parking authority budget. Can I get on the table?
Second.
Any comments or questions about the budget? Nice work, Andy, finding a way to close that budget gap and to make sure that we saved a lot of money on our expenses, changing vendors, which allowed us to not have to, we'll be able to continue, hopefully to continue to pay the village back from the parking authority. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Can I just add a comment to that?
Oh, which I just voted.
No, that's great. I just want to let you know that in this dialogue with our Duncan Solutions, which is our sort of back office, are the ones that when you issue a citation, they send out the warning letters, they send it to collections, they create a list of people who included, they create a list of people who go to the motor vehicles for suspension of registration, all that is Duncan Services, basically, with Duncan Solutions. And together, we have identified a number of sort of weaknesses in the way that administrative process works. One of them, which will come back to your point, Commissioner, about, is that for a period of time, they actually failed to send out notices that, hey, you didn't pay your parking fine, and now it's gonna be more, you know? So there's a group of about 1,000 license plates which did not get that letter. So we're trying to find ways. I've been thinking that our collection rate seems low. We're trying to figure out why. And so we're gonna take a kind of a policy decision as to what portion of these sort of outstanding violations, which were not sent mail, we should go back and try to capture. It could be a parking violation that's a year and a half, or 2 years
I
old.
think we go back to it. I think we give them the first chance to do the first original violation fee.
So they'll get, this is somebody who got a ticket, blew it off, didn't realize it, fell off the windshield, and never got a letter. They're gonna get a letter, as if it was their first letter, basically
Yes.
saying, hey, you're 2 weeks late, it's actually a year and a half. But the letter will clarify that, hey, we understand this letter is really, really late, but this is your first warning. Your fine has now gone up by $15 or whatever it is.
No, I keep the original fine.
Okay.
That's what I would say. Does everybody agree with that? That if we screwed up and didn't give them a warning, that, I mean, the warning's on the ticket, but just as a means of like trying to gather collection, let's let them go back to the original fine and start the clock again.
Okay, so they'll get the letter that they never got.
They'll get the letter they never got, which warns them, I think, to say, you gotta pay this or you're gonna get a double fine.
I've had a few.
For example, the letter said,
So letter number 1 is it went from 25 to 35. Letter number 2 is it goes from 35 to 45, whatever these numbers are.
so letter number 1 does say your fine is now higher.
It's like you didn't pay yet, so now you're getting a late fine.
Let's make a special letter to these people that goes back to you've got 2 weeks to pay the original fine.
So,
We can do that, right?
I'll ask them to do that. I mean, they have to pay for postage and rental home and everything, so.
So is this a collection firm or just?
Yeah, it's not.
It's a separate collection firm or it's our actual firm that collects?
It's Duncan Solutions that handles these.
Okay. So they're still getting paid, whatever, or we're getting paid, or they're doing the job.
Yeah.
Okay, what do they get, a piece of it?
I don't know. They don't get a piece of it until they actually send it to the collection agency. So if someone doesn't respond to multiple mailings, eventually it goes out to a different agency than collection.
So you're saying the first letter does put them into the first late fee?
Yeah.
But we're saying these are so overdue that sort of semi-amnesty, pay your original fine in 2 weeks, or it's gonna go up. I think to kind of jumpstart collections that we didn't get, I don't mind doing that. Okay, is everybody good with that? Let's go back to the
A
original.
little,
2 weeks.
as my father told me, a little bit of something is better than a lot of nothing.
Fair enough.
I'll see if we can get that
If
out.
we can't, can I just say, if we can't do it, if it's physically not possible, then just send a regular letter, the regular 1 week late letter.
Right.
Okay. All right, so we did vote, just for the record, it did pass unanimously. Resolution 111, resolution 112, action item 7.7, to approve a promotional partnership with Next Dam Community Solar. Can I get a motion?
motion, second.
Any comments or questions about this? I think we talked about it last meeting.
Yeah,
Also, the solar.
is this the company, is this the company that came up to us, last time?
Yeah.
Nation?
Yes. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. 7.8, resolution 113, to renew an annual engineering consulting agreement with Weston and Sampson. Can I get a motion?
Second.
Andy, just renewing, they're doing well, we're fine with them?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Did the name change of the?
Yeah, it was Brooker.
Yeah, okay.
They got bought by Weston Sampson.
Okay.
Now they have architects and landscape
Yeah.
designer.
Yeah, no, I was like, this didn't seem like it was the firm from last time, but.
Just
Otherwise,
confirming we have a unanimous vote in favor?
yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Okay, unanimous.
Yes, if I didn't say that.
Yeah, resolution 114, action item 7.9, to approve a grant application for improvements to the hillside of the playground Memorial Park.
Second.
All right, so here we go. We just finished one big renovation, which, by the way, I should have mentioned right off the top, what an absolutely beautiful job was done by the people who we remember, we turned down the highest bid. We went to the highest, what we thought of as the highest responsible bid. And they have done nothing short of a
The lowest.
perfect job. Well, the low, yes, the lowest, thank you. Yes, we are legally required to take the highest bid. There's very strange legislation involved. No, the lowest responsible bid, and what was the name of the company, just for the record?
A-Tech.
ATEC, and they did, it is so great to be down there, and I love going down to look at it with my dog, and I keep my dog out of the greenery, which you should do. But I love going down there in the mornings, it just looks, we need some before pictures to show people just how much it's changed, we need those before pictures out there.
Don't get me wrong, I'm slightly nostalgic, but like slightly because it's really pretty down there, so it does look really nice. I just miss- It's a terrible job, because I do, I'm like, damn, I miss taking like the rocks and like almost and just throwing rocks in the water and like.
I'm just gonna say, you can bring your own rocks, you can go, or you can go to the creek, there's probably some rocks in the creek that you can go.
It's not time for all that.
Right, Pascal, what about the issues of plastic, the black plastic, say?
No, I made it very clear, very specific.
Very beautiful job. So with that, we're doing that conversation in the context of new improvements, which are going to be what, Andy?
So we have an insatiable desire for state funding for parks improvements here in Nyack.
Yeah.
And it's been going pretty well. The project we're submitting is for the hillside next to the playground. It's kind of steep and eroded. The sliding board is on one side with the stairs, but there's a whole lot of that hillside, which is potential area for different ways of going up the hill, climbing up things, climbing boulders, climbing onto ladders, or something like that. There's a sort of a scenario that memo I sent you, which gives you some ideas, but of course we don't have the design. You would have to get the money and then hire a designer and kind of work our way through a community advisory process to get to a design. that we-
Which is the process we went through with the shore, for sure,
Yeah.
the shore pathway, which went very well.
So, but it would be a lot of fun to build something like this. So.
All right, so any other comments or questions? All in favor? Aye, opposed, motion carries unanimously. 710, resolution 115, approving publication of competitive bids for the senior center roof replacement.
Second.
Any comments or questions?
No.
All in favor? Aye, motion carries unanimously. 711, a resolution 116, authorizing the reimbursement of certain building permits and certificate of occupancy fees. Motion, can I get a motion?
Motion. Second.
All right, so this has to do with, do you want to come up and just describe what we're doing quickly?
This is not the art cafe.
This is not the FFA one, this is just to get some overpayments.
Right.
All right,
We set overpayments. They
Okay.
decided not to do a project when they come up with it.
okay, they get them in there. Okay, so this is a very simple ministerial task. So we're just reimbursing people for payments they made, which we should make sure they get back, because they didn't need them, because they didn't do the project. Can I, all in favor?
Oh.
All opposed? Motion,
I said, I said aye.
oh, I didn't hear.
The person thinks not to say, but. I'm-
Motion carries unanimously. Any objection to it carrying unanimously? Okay. 712 we've done, 713 we've done. Turning now to 714. Regarding review and disposition of building department renewals fees for 65 South Broadway. This is the RFA one.
Wait,
Can I get this on the table?
motion second.
Um,
Jen, I'm about to give this to you in a second.
thank you. Keep that to yourself. We get through it. That's not a problem. All right, I'm just gonna give a quick explanation. You can correct me on this as I go through. Basically, people, when they buy a property, they get what's called a municipal search. The municipal search is supposed to show up any kind of defects within the property. A buyer will get a title search to search for defects in the title. They will also get a municipal search to search for any violations or any problems with the property in the local building department. Those problems have to be fixed by the seller, generally speaking, before the buyer will take title, because the buyer doesn't want to buy a property that has outstanding fines and open permits and things like that. We missed several open permits on a property at 65 South Broadway when it was bought by Daniel Kramer, which is the Art Cafe building. And then when he is trying to refinance or something, or some reason it came up that he had open permits, he said, wait a second, I never did anything, why did I get them? And the answer is that the open permits were there when he bought the place, but we didn't catch them on our municipal search. So we are now waiving our fees and fines for those open permits for Mr. Kramer, because it doesn't seem fair to charge him for it, because when he bought the property, the seller would have paid them before selling it. Did I get that basically correct?
That's it, that's it.
And we've now put in place new procedures. Tell us about that.
Yeah, now. As I went through a Rockland file,
Right up to your mouth,
right?
up there.
As I went through Rockland files now, I'm finding a lot of building permits that were never placed. Some of them go back to 1950s. Oh, that's still open there.
Damn, they're older than you, Joe, that's crazy.
So in this particular case,
AI to change the said.
in this particular case, I went to do a certificate of occupancy. So I pulled the file and I found all these permits that should have been caught doing that municipal survey that you just explained. But it wasn't. So I went ahead and put it all together and it came out to $6,000. But I do agree with him there, we should have put that, doing that municipal, we get him, big challenge. I mean, for you to make that decision whether to let it or not.
It's the right thing to do, so I'm glad we're doing, I'm glad we're fixing the process so it doesn't come up again with future purchases, that we're doing the municipal searches more thoroughly. And it's gonna be easier now because now everything's online, that it wasn't before, so it's a lot easier to catch them.
Didn't tap on the rate of inflation because what, $6,000 in the eighties and nineties?
That's true, we're not even collecting the 6,000, so. Any other comments or questions about this? By the way, there's the word Juneteenth at the bottom of
And
the,
that's
this is a
because
great typo.
I was losing my mind with all these different things in the packet.
Okay.
That was a reminder to self about the event with Sarah and her mom.
Okay, can I make an amendment to the
Yes.
resolution, make a motion to amend the resolution, take out the word Juneteenth, question mark at the end,
And the yellow highlighter too.
I can't see that, but I'll the yellow highlighter as well. I have a motion, I have a second, all in favor? Okay, now with the revised and amended motion or resolution, all in favor? Motion carries unanimously, and that is it for our action items. Departmental reports,
Can I just make a comment on that one?
sure.
Which is that there is an absolutely massive amount of sort of administrative mop-up work, which Manny is doing, which Linda and Kyle are doing, and others, of just practices that, things that simply they practiced for many years. And he's doing a great job. It's each amount of work. Right now, he's lost both his code enforcement officers. Well, then when he worked for Clark.
They're, just to be clear, they're both still alive, they're just one left for another job, and the other one is hurt, but is alive.
So, it's just, to me, you know, as village administrators, it's important to recognize the amount of effort that our leadership staff puts in trying to correct and implement ways of doing things which are updated. It's an example of that.
Yeah. I think they did a great job with that. I also want to thank on this particular issue, I want to thank the village attorney, who, weighed in because of his practice. He's familiar with the practice of residential and commercial closing, so he was able to give his insight into how these municipal searches are generally treated and thought of by the people getting them. All right, let's move on. Departmental reports, we're about to they changed the community relations officer at the OPD. So we lost a few months of like the regular updates that we get, but I believe we have a call next week with the OPD.
Yeah.
Next Wednesday, we have a call with them. We'll get updates on the various things that are going on. We'll have updates for you at the next meeting. I will also say, again, thanks to the OPD for being on the site along the fire department, along the ambulance corps. And just also say that just to remember, we don't generally comment on open investigations or what the OPD might be doing while in the aftermath of events like what happened the other day. Do we have a village clerk report? In the interest of time, we're going to forego the village clerk report. 8.2, village administrator. What do you got for us?
Yeah, just thinking about our village clerk, we now do at least a full toter of recycling every week. It's my job to haul it out to the curb. And this woman is turning through old files and getting rid of things that have been gathering desperately. Manny has done the same thing, getting through a ton of stuff. So just,
Are they being shredded?
some stuff gets, a lot of stuff gets shredded, and some things don't need to be shredded, but that's a distinction which is important. And we pay attention to that distinction moving short. So, yeah, just wanted to mention that. This is another example of the sort of above and beyond effort in some ways to kind of get things on track.
Thanks for bringing us into the 21st. Right.
So I think we pretty much covered. If you have any questions about the
Yeah.
operations, I'm happy to. address
Yeah,
them.
I have a couple questions. Only two, because a couple were answered, so that was great during everything. One of the things that I wanted to bring up, last year. Do we ever look into summer hours for our village employees? Is that something that is at all possible throughout the departments? Have we ever looked at that?
Leaving early on Friday.
Yes.
We have, so. We haven't done summer hours for administrative village hall staff. We go 9 to 5 are the opening hours, we'll obviously get there before 9 to 5 to stay afterwards. But the door gets unlocked at 9 and locked at 5. And
So you're
you
saying,
guys can set a policy if you wanna, I mean, nobody's gonna complain if you say closing early on Friday.
okay, I'm only saying it as somebody that comes from the corporate world, that really made a difference in the summer. Those few hours, whether it's like, beating the traffic or just having that and like a nice reward at the end of the week or something for people that work really hard. I just would like us to look at it. I think,
One thing that we have been doing, kind of informally, is when we have a 3-day weekend, we do a holiday. We're letting folks out at 3 o'clock, just to get a jump on cooking, other preparations. And this become around big weekends.
okay, I think that that's fabulous, but, like say somebody wanted a long weekend, it's something if we could just look at that a little closer, because then it's like, just a little jump start. It's just a little thing that goes a long way.
Yeah, I wanna give you a little bit of why it's not as easy as it may seem. And those are, part of this because we have people, for example, the water treatment plant with a 24-hour schedule, around the clock shifts. And their sort of management of how we work hours is very different. The DPW is very different from the hall administrator. And so sometimes it's hard to have an equitable approach, because if we decide we're gonna let a portion of our employees basically get paid while not working for a couple of hours, and others cannot be, they can't leave their post for various reasons. It's not an easy thing to do.
I'm sure
So
it's
it
not.
requires some considerations and.
Okay. I don't think I get an impression. I don't know if it's an easy thing. I know that every department operates a little differently. Whether that's them coming in a little earlier, a couple days a week to have that. And so they are essentially getting paid. I mean, they're leaving early, but if they're willing to come in a little bit earlier to cover that at that time. So I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that it might work throughout every department, because it might not. But where it can work, if we could look into it, I would just like to do it, because I just think that they work hard. Giving a little incentive once in a while makes people want to work hard or even harder, and I just would like, it's just something I've been thinking about for a while. And I just wanted to put it out there.
And just another thing, our DPW does have summer hours, they wouldn't say number of hours, they just start early in the morning and go.
Right.
And, so just another thing.
Okay.
Are we still having our second June meeting over at the senior center?
So our plan is to have a June 25th meeting at the senior center.
Yeah.
I want to do a little list of feasibility. I gotta go over there and make sure I have the internet situation squared away. I'm gonna look at the way we set up Jay, but I think it'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's what I wanna confirm.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's fine. I know we haven't talked about it since the last couple
But
meetings.
if the group still wants to meet over there, I'm sure it'll be fine. I just wanna make sure that that be lined up.
Would that work in lieu of having the new resource or community officer from OPD? Because I know the whole point of that was also to bring in the security guys and well,
Are we all gonna fit?
protect it. I think so.
And I certainly check their availability. I
Yeah.
can't guarantee their appearance. The security I can get there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, since you have your meeting next week, can we put the ask out?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right, I have another question. I had two.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, you didn't know, and you're forgiven. That's fine. I'm on it. It's another thing that I mentioned a while ago, and I just don't want it to go too far into the ether. I just want to bring it up again, that will we revisit the ETPA at any time?
Sorry.
Say that again?
ETPA, are we gonna
Revisit that.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I guess I should be using this.
That is a complicated one. It starts with a survey, and I have to remind myself of all this stuff.
That's the survey. The survey is the jumpstart.
Okay, yeah.
That's the survey, you see what your vacancy rate is. We've done that at least twice,
Some four of them.
Was it one box or?
We did one that showed it, and then we had to redo it, because that one was faulty, because we included the wrong building. We did a second one, it didn't make it, the third one didn't make it, maybe only did three, we did three, we had one that was faulty, and then the two that didn't make
vacancy
it.
rate is
It's 5%.
5 or more.
You
Then you
can't
don't
issue.
qualify, so you don't actually have scarcity of vacant apartments.
But it has been a couple years since we did it.
I have no problem, yeah, we should do it again, we should put another thing, we should probably put it in the field and.
The fall.
Yeah, September is the better time, because everybody moves in the
Yeah.
summer, so maybe September, we look at it for another date to do another one.
And also, wasn't the building bought down by the waterfront?
The
new owner.
Yeah, my building was purchased. There's been a few buildings that have changed hands. So it's probably time to do another one.
The problem we have, I'm just gonna put on the record, the problem we have with the getting 5% is that. We're very unusual in these municipalities that we have a very high-end rental building that is very large.
Yeah.
On the waterfront, and the high-end buildings tend to have higher vacancy rates. And that has a lot of units, so if its vacancy rate is 8 or 9%. Even if like the other buildings are all much well below 5, it tends to drive the overall average up. That's the problem. But we can try again, and September is a better time to try than July or August, because people do like to move before school starts, and by September, they're usually settled in.
I mean, I had heard from a few of the folks about who are up on 155 Circles. So I do think it's worth revisiting because a few of them have asked, are you guys still doing this? Are you still trying?
I think we should try again. I think it's fine to try again, and I think we should, at the very least, it would then,
And
we should revisit the side agreement that we talked about with the buildings, because that would have gotten us a long way. And remember, in the meantime, we did pass the food plus eviction, which applies to a lot more buildings and does at least cap extravagant rate increases, but ETPA is obviously more stricter, so that's worth looking at again.
With a good cause eviction, have we had any cases where we had, the landlords have to reduce rents?
We would not.
no, they, like,
It's not-
my building
it's
is
good.
under good cause eviction. They haven't reduced my rent, but my rent, I got a nominal increase under.
I mean, is the village monitoring it? Is there a way for us to monitor it?
It's, I mean, we can.
No, there's no.
It's all done in court.
Yeah, there's no real way to monitor it. I mean, we could talk with Alex,
Yeah, the last question, yeah.
legal services, because that's who ultimately will help fight these cases.
Okay.
I mean, my guess, the thing about the food cost eviction is that an 8% increase in the rent is actually substantial enough that most landlords aren't going to try to go above it and get into a fight. And that's, you know, that's both good and bad. It's a little higher than it should be, but it's also, it's not, it cuts off the 20%, 30% increases yearly that we're seeing in some of these properties.
I have a question, Andy. So since we're separated here in the left field, in partial air conditioning, what's the progress with all the renovations, the roof, the air conditioning? What are you doing with that?
It's actually moving ahead really, really well. Our roofer and our HVAC contractor has been doing great. They're on schedule. Unfortunately, we're having a heat wave for a couple of days. The reason why it's being built in this time of year is to take advantage of the time where it would either be too cold or too hot, because the heating and cooling are off for a period of weeks. But it will shortly be on.
Okay, the second question I have is,
Baby suits.
we are, for the USA 250, we're ordering, T-shirts with logos. And I need a list of sizes, so if you wanna,
Let us know the size.
yeah, I need to
Email you. I'll see you, text or email.
Yeah, you can keep it, confidential, it's fine, right? But maybe, we'll get it, or Andy, you can collect it, so I know what sizes for order. 450 T-shirts.
50 shirts.
What?
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
shirts for who?
The board. He's offering shirts for the board. He's gonna buy them to sell them, I assume.
No.
Oh.
No.
I told you the board?
The board and the,
Staff.
staff,
Oh, okay.
yeah. Why
Many
not?
staff-
I thought you were buying them to sell them to
Do we
the
have
public.
50 staff members?
No,
Okay.
I don't wanna get into it's, we have to.
Yeah, trust me, we did that once and we ended a lot of shirts extra, so don't.
Yeah, so, if we have extra shirts, I'll offer them.
I offering people that sponsors.
I was, yeah. Yeah, but-
They'd love that.
All right. Anybody else? We need it done. That's a great idea.
No. Oh, yeah.
Not
like a
more
big
park
cake.
though, no shooting,
They still do that. I will do.
T-shirt guns. All right.
They do
Thank you
something
all. All right, old business. Our next meeting is gonna be at the Nike Senior Center. Make sure you check
I have to
your,
remember.
correct your calendars for that.
With some communication, some.
I'm not there yet. I'm on
Oh,
old business. 9.2 park permit policy memo. Andy wrote a park policy permit memo. Let's make sure we review it. Let's review it in light of the recent events. And let's think about what we want to do to make sure that we, put more procedures in place to protect against the kind of things. I mean, a lot of times you end up with rules that are based on the fact that something happened to spark, we now need this rule. That's what happens. Yeah, you say, okay, don't go in that. We should probably put a rule in there also that you don't go out into the Hudson because it's frozen. And you think you can walk on it, which I remember seeing this winter, people out walking around on the Hudson. So I don't wanna go into that because we're late, but make sure you read that memo and let's get Andy back some commentary on it. For anticipation of the next meeting and maybe some thoughts in light of recent events. We talked about 10.1, 11, we talked about Jerry Coblin Way. 11.2, there's a question about a park permit for Saturday, July 18th, 3 to 4, wedding photos in the gazebo.
Any conflict?
It's very straightforward.
Yeah.
It's just $150 deposit, make sure we don't get a mess. Waiting on us.
That's fine. And
All right, so, you wanna approve it now or you wanna do a resolution?
It's not
What?
such a lie.
Okay, so we'll pass the resolution next meeting.
Okay.
Zumba. Wants to do a family quinceanera photo.
Basically the same story.
Same story, 3 to
Yeah.
5 on 7/17, that's Friday. Again, no problem. We gotta remember, also, we gotta always remind people, we do not have security there.
Yeah.
If somebody's squatting in the gazebo and won't leave,
This time.
they have a license to it, but it's not exclusive.
Yeah.
And then last, Tamari Profita, a park out for a birthday party on June 18th. From 5 to 9 PM on a Thursday night. Do we know how many people are involved? It's a birthday party, shouldn't be that many.
20.
Okay, so it's just over the 10 that you would approve on your own. So let's approve this today if we want to, so that they get notice, because it's next week.
Okay.
Everybody okay?
Yeah.
All right, Kevin, so can I get a motion to, resolution, can I get a motion? So to approve, Memorial Park permit out for Thursday, June 18th, 5 to 9 PM
Motion.
for a birthday party not to exceed 40 people.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. That is resolution what?
7.4. No, sorry.
2026, 120.
Yeah.
Resolution 120.
So did you say not to exceed 40?
not to exceed 40 people. If they want more than 40 people, they gotta come back to us and get a voice vote.
It's a birthday party, it's not a.
Nobody has that many friends for their birthday party. I'm projecting because I don't want people to have that many friends because it'll make me sad. It'll make me sad about my very thinly attended birthday parties. Any more public comment? Seeing nobody here, anybody for an executive session?
Say no.
Say no, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned at 9